Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
And Kenny.
Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded 2022 NBA Preview Show. I am your host, Eric. I got the big dog over there, Kenny. How are you? My main man down there, Ron. How are you?
Yup.
We are very
Doing quite well.
Right, very excited today. We're going to break down all 30 teams. We're going to basically go through the rosters, and then at the end, we will give you our NBA Finals and winner. And we're also going to give you the MVPs. Who's our MVP candidates for this season? So really excited. We're going to go from west to east, gentlemen, and we're going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top. So I'm really excited to start off in the Southwest Division. Ron's going to bring that up. The Southwest Division, and the 5 teams are the Memphis Grizzlies, Dallas Mavericks, New Orleans Pelicans, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Houston Rockets. We're going to start off with the Houston Rockets, who last season were 20-62, which was 15th in the West. So obviously the last place team. 11-41 in the conference, 3-13 in the division. 11-30 at home, 9-32 on the road, 2-1 in overtime last season. As a team, they averaged 109.7 points per game, which was 19th in the league. 118.2 given up, which was 30th, so dead last in the league when it came to defense. Field goal percentage, they shot 45.6%. 3-point percentage, 34.9%. Free throw percentage, 71.3, which was not very good. Rebounding, 42 per game. Assists, 23.6. 7.3 steals per game, and 4.7 blocks per game. They're coached by Steven Silas, who's 37-117 all time as a head coach. They drafted forward Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason forward, Ty Washington Jr. guard, and Trevor Hudgens. They had some key adds of Sterling Brown, Trey Burke, Marquise Chris, and Boban Marjanovic, right? Key losses: Christian Woods, John Wall, Dennis Schroeder, Anthony Lamb, and Trayvon Queen. Kenny, can you tell us about some of their top scorers from last season?
Yeah, I can do that. Jalen Green is just phenomenal. He just continues to get better and better and better this preseason. Kevin Porter Jr. is just keeps getting better and better all the time, and their rookie is not too bad either. Tyrese East looks good. 7% preseason shooting.
Excellent. Ron, what about their roster? What can you tell me about their starters and some of their key bench players?
All right. Well, I mean, you started off, you're going to have Kevin Porter, probably going to be the key guy. If he struggles, this team is in. So it's important that he gets the ball up there. You got Jalen Green, like Kenny said, he's also going to be a starter. He's probably going to be in that number 2 spot with Eric Gordon, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun at the 5 spot. Like you got some guys on the bench that have some skill and can add depth, but this team is going to struggle, especially against those top flight teams. They just don't have the depth as other teams do. I mean, you're just going to have a hard time scoring points unless these young guys can mesh well together, and that's going to be a key. They're going to have to play well together, and they got to get that experience. I mean, it's going to be a long road for Houston, but they got some talent there, and it's just take time.
Yeah, so very young team. Again, Kenny, right? They're on a rebuild. Definitely getting younger after the James Harden deal. They really have just tried to build through the draft. Thoughts on Steven Silas as the coach? Is he the right coach for this team currently, or should they be looking somewhere else?
Most definitely, they should be looking for a younger coach. Yeah.
So again, very tough division for them. I don't see them ahead of any of these other teams. Probably a good prediction that they're going to finish in last place in this division.
Yeah.
Yet again.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's move on then to the San Antonio Spurs, who last season were 34-48. So that was 10th in the West. So they actually made the playoffs. 24 and 28 in the conference, 6-10 in their division, 16-25 at home, 18-23 on the road. They were 1-3 in overtime. They averaged 113.2 points per game, which was 8th overall in the league. Gave up 113 though, which was 23rd, so about even. Field goal percentage 46.7%, 3-point percentage 35.2, 75.4 on free throws, 45.3 on rebounds, 27.9 on assists, 7.6 steals per game, 4.9 blocks. They are coached by Greg Popovich, the great Greg Popovich, 1,344 and 701 in his career. So over 2,000 games coached. They drafted Dominic Barlow, Malik Branham, Jordan Hall, Jeremy Sachin, and Blake Wesley. A couple of key ads was Georgie Dang and Isaiah Roby. They lost Gallinari, Jock Landell, Jawante Murray, Lonnie Walker the fourth. So a couple of key losses here. Kenny, what about their top players from last season?
DeJounte Murray has improved on his mid range this preseason. I see that. The rookie Jeremy, he's pretty good. He's going to be good. Just give him a little time. Other than that, Pop is like a how should I say Belichick. He's like a Belichick. Yeah, he's like a Belichick. He gets these young kids, and these foreign kids, and he makes them gel and makes them, mesh. Ginobili.
So they lost DeJounte Murray. He's no longer with the team. So
right.
They're going to have to pick up some pace. What about their roster run? Who's on this roster that we should be looking at?
Well, like Kenny said, that Jeremy Sochan is to start. He might actually be one of the more talented players on the team. So that's who they're going to start building with. But you got Trey Jones is slated to start at point guard. Devin Vassell is also a starter. Keldon Johnson and Jacob Podol. These are not household names. So look, San Antonio lost a lot, but they did get Josh some punch, at least a little bit. And he'll be coming off the bench most likely. But it is possible that if he plays well, he could possibly sneak into the starting lineup. Doug McDermott is also there. I mean, you're paying those two guys together $5.9 million to come off the bench. So there's always guys could. Who knows? Might crack the lineup depending on it. So, but again, they're going to be in a similar position as Houston, just not quite as bad. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
a young team, so it has to.
Yeah, so we could talk about the coaching, right? Obviously, the experience that Pop has had. But the question would be, again, at some point, not having some talent, losing Murray is definitely going to hurt this team because he was starting to become that young star that was expected to kind of take over and carry on the legacy here. So I'd question even with his experience. I mean, Houston to me and San Antonio are going to be fighting for this bottom spot.
Mm.
Most
I
definitely.
agree. Like it's going to be a tough road. I think they have a little more talent though than Houston right now. You know, just because of that bench is probably better.
Pretty interesting. So here's the first probably head scratching team of where we could possibly be this season. That's the New Orleans Pelicans. 36-46 last season, which was 8th in the West. So they obviously made the playoffs. 25-27 in the conference, 6-10 in the division, 19-22 at home, 17-24 on the road, 1-2 in overtime. They averaged 109.3 points per game, which was 21st in the league. Points against 110.3, which was 13th. 45.7 field goal percentage, 33.2 on 3-point percentage, 78.9 free throws, 45.2 average rebounds, 25 assists per game, 8.3 steals, 4.0 blocks. Head coach Willie Green, first season last year, 36-46. They drafted guard Dyson Daniels, EJ Liddell, and Carlo Matkovic. No real key adds, no key losses here. Kenny, talk to me about some of their key players.
Well, Zion Williams has to stay healthy. He has to play more than 71 minutes. Brandon Ingram has to stay healthy. He has to play more than 32 minutes. Everybody has to stay healthy. It's a good team, but everybody has to stay healthy.
And I already got a key injury. I think Zion already had hurt himself, but they said he is ready to go on opening day. Ron, what about their starting lineup?
All right. Their starting line, hopefully they can stay healthy for one. CJ McCollum, we talked about, last season, who actually played well for
very good addition. Yeah.
Brandon Ingram has played well for New Orleans, and if that back can hold up, and you just give them one other guy, that slimmer, Zion, if he, from what I'm hearing, he's already hurt.
Yes. Yeah, he sprained his ankle, but they said he's going to be ready to go opening night.
Yeah, sure. But they also have along with Zion Williamson and Jonas Valanciunas, or some version of that name.
Yeah.
Those are your starters. The bench has to play need to grow in role, and really, this team could do really well or it could do really poorly. Depending on health. But Devontae Graham, Larry Nance Jr., Hayes and Daniels and Temple, these guys all have to start playing, at another level for this team to really contend. They got a potential to make the playoffs, but like I said, these starters have to stay healthy because if you're relying on the bench players, it's going to be a difficult go.
Yeah, I agree. I really like this team if healthy. To me, this is that first team that we can question and say, look, there's a good possibility that this team can make a good run with McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion if they're all healthy.
Right.
The key would be is can Brandon Ingram and Zion stay healthy? They haven't really proven that they can. Is this a sleeper team in your eyes, or the expectations since they made the playoffs last season already at a kind of elevated level?
Oh, this is a sleeper team. Their first 8 games are road games. Well, I should say the first 11 games, and the 8 games are road games. So it's all about scheduling. It's all about if they can win on the road, because we know they had a good home record last year, but can they win on the road?
Yeah, seven games under 500 last season on the road.
Yeah.
So again, maturity, young team, but again, if healthy, what would you? So let me say this, guys: over under on Zion Williamson playing more than 75% of this season.
Over.
I'm going to say under.
And if he does play under 75, will his team be competitive?
If he plays under 75, they are not going to be good enough.
Right, and that's that question mark of where we're going with this team. I really like the team. I like Willie Green as a coach. I thought that was a very good hire last season.
Me too.
But again, unfortunately, it's almost similar to San Antonio. If you don't have players, even if you're a good coach, it's very hard to coach a team up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. With depth problems as well. Like all the better teams, they all have 3 or 4 guys that can come off the bench and starter. The team.
Apologize, we're kind of having technical difficulties here. Yeah. Ron, we'll jump you back in. We're going to move on to the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks, 52-30 last season, 4th in the West, 36-16 in the conference, 14-2 in this division. So very good division record. 29-12 at home, 23-18 on the road, 1-2 in overtime games. They're coached by Jason Kidd, who's 235 and 220. I didn't realize he's coached that many games already, which is amazing if you think about his time and some of the other teams as well. They drafted forward Marcus Bingham and guard Jaden Hardy, JaVale McGee and Christian Woods, a couple of big men as key adds here. Key losses: Sterling Brown, Jalen Brunson, Trey Burke, Marquise Chris, and Boban Marjanovic. Kenny, obviously we're going to talk about Luka a little bit here, but what else do they have as one of their keys on this Dallas Mavericks team this season?
They have Christian Wood that comes off the bench.
He's going to be bench. Double-double last season.
Yep, double-double last season. If he can just stay healthy and earn the trust of Jason Kidd, hopefully he'll start a couple of games and they'll get him out there and they can just gel. But Luka's a beast, I mean, Luka's a team on its own. He can do everything. He can rebound, he can pass, he can shoot the 3, he can score, he can do absolutely everything.
Ron, what about this? What about their lineup? What should we be looking at?
Well, obviously, we're looking at that backcourt. Obviously, Luka and Tim Hardaway Jr. are the keys of what's going to make this team go. But the other 3 guys, Bullock, Finney-Smith, and McGee, they all have to contribute a little more than what they have, done in recent times anywhere they've ever been. They have to be – somebody has to step up and be that third option on this roster. And if they're not going to get it, they're going to just stay the status quo and go through the motion what they've done the last couple of years. In order for them to go any further, they need one of those 3 guys to step up. And, they're going to get, production from the bench with Dinwiddie and, like you said, Wood and Powell. These guys are all going to come off the bench and do their roles like they're supposed to. but they need somebody in that starting lineup to contribute other than their backcourt. They have to, or they're not going to get any further in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, it's only so much Luka can do. As great as a player as he is, unfortunately, you said it. He needs to have a guy that's going to be able to contribute more consistently. And I think that's why they brought Christian Wood in, though. Look, 18 points, 10 rebounds last season. So you get a double-double a night from him. If he can get you 18 to 20 points, Luka's going to get his 30-plus. Tim Hardaway needs to increase his scoring. 14 points last season. I'd like to see him around the 20-point range. This team could be deadly. I like Dinwiddie off the bench as well. I think that's a guy that can come off the bench and score quick. So expectations high for this team. Could they possibly be in NBA Finals? Is this the year Luka breaks through?
They're missing one
If
piece.
they get somebody else to jump in.
So we look at this team trade deadline, possibly picking up a player is what we would be saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and that they finished number one in this division last season. They were 56-26 overall, second in the West, 36-16 in the conference, 11-5 in the division, 30-11 at home, 26-15 on the road, 2-2 in overtime games. They averaged 115.6 points per game, which was second overall. Gave up 109.9, which was 12th. 46.1% field goal percentage, 35.3 three-point percentage, free throws 73.1%. We realized nobody shot over 80% free throws in this division. Rebounds 49.2 per game, 26 assists per game, 9.8 steals, 6.5 blocks. A very good defensive team. They are coached by Taylor Jenkins, who's 128-99. They had a decent draft as well. Jake Lavaria, David Roddy, Kennedy Chandler, Vince Williams Jr., and Kenny Lofton Jr. Remember that name as we're going into Major League Baseball championships. They added Danny Green, and they lost Kyle Anderson and DeAndre Melton. Kenny, who's their top star? Do we know him?
Guy named by John Morant.
I think, yeah,
Ja.
Ja
I thought you were going to say
Ja
Danny
Rules.
Green.
Ja Rules, right?
Ja
Yeah.
Rules.
Oh, you took my joke.
Mixing it up. But who else should they be looking for? So obviously we know John Morant and what he's capable of, Kenny, but what's another key guy for this team?
Jaren Jackson.
Right, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson.
I thought you said Janet Jackson.
Yeah. This team is full of R&B singers. Yes, that's where we're at right now. And we're only on the first division, people, so stay tuned for even more.
Oh, jeez.
Ron, what about this roster? What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's obviously centered around John Morant. I think this team is going to be very motivated because they didn't like how their playoffs ended. You know, John Morant went out and that kind of crushed their momentum. But with Desmond Bain, Dylan Brooks, Santi Aldama, and Steven Adams, they're all going to be in that starting rotation. The starting lineup, rather, not rotation. This isn't baseball. And hope to get the production from the bench as well. And I think this team is going to be really good. And you're putting some experience along with that youth, and they can play. They can play, and this is going to be a very difficult team that is going to be motivated.
Danny Green, I think, is a very big signing. 35.3% last season as a three-point team, right? They're not asking him to do anything but shoot threes.
Right.
I like this team a lot. Desmond Bain turned into a very good player in the playoffs. You
Yeah.
saw that. Jaren Jackson Jr., the defensive minded, his blocks, what he does from a defensive standpoint. And then Steven Adams, very reliable, old reliable, 7 points, 10 rebounds last season.
Yeah.
I'd take that if, on my NBA team. It's just a guy that plays rough, gets in the face of people. It kind of fits the mentality of this team, right? Very defensive minded, freak of nature when it comes to just what he can do offensively.
And they're still young. The team is still young.
Right? Think about the experience they gained last season. This team to me is one of those teams that very easily could be in the NBA Finals.
Absolutely. This is what I'm saying. They're going to be motivated. They have the talent. They can play some defense. And with that athleticism that they have, along with that defensive ability, this team is going to be very dangerous and hungry.
Yep.
Love this team. Clear winners of this division, or should they be worried? Dallas?
It'll be between them and Dallas, depending on someone stepping up for Dallas.
Yep.
All right. We're going to move on to the Pacific Division. We'll bring those 5 teams up. And they are the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Sacramento Kings. So this is a very fun division. It could go so many different ways. We're going to start off with Sacramento, who last season was 30-52, which was 12th in the West, 20-32 in the conference, 6-10 in the division, 16-25 at home, 14-27 on the road. 2-1 in overtime, though. At least they were over 500 in overtime. Points per game, 110.3, which was 16th in the league. 115.8 points allowed, 29th. So defensively, they have to improve. 46% field goal percentage, 34.4 on the 3-point percentage, 76.8 free throw percentage, 42.9 rebounds per game, 23.7 assists per game, 7.2 steals per game, 4.5 blocks. They are coached by Mike Brown, who in his coaching career has 347 and 216. They drafted Keegan Murray in the draft. They had Malik Monk as one of their key ads. They lost Dante DiVincenzo and Damian Jones. Kenny, who are we looking for on this team?
The whole team. This is a good team. They went 4-0 in preseason. 4-0. This team is a real good team. Murray's an outstanding kid. The rookie averaged 20 points a game every night. This is a real solid team.
Ron, what about their roster?
Yeah, well, Keegan Murray is their most recent piece they added. Look, this team's had high draft picks, so they certainly have a lot of skill on this team. The only thing I caution is, yes, they did well in preseason, but still a young team, and they do not have the experience to bring them to be a serious contender. But they are going to give teams a tough time every single night because they can make runs. And, not only with Keegan Murray, the rookie, but you have Sabonis, you have Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, and De'Aaron Fox. Look, this team has a couple of years from now, we're going to be talking to them like as Grizzlies.
Look,
De'Aaron this Fox is a team that's going to put people on notice.
Yeah. De'Aaron Fox, one of the best players in the league. The problem is they haven't been able to build around him. I like the Sabonis pickup. I think that's a very, very good move for them.
Yep.
But I would say this. If we talk about motivation at this point, the Seattle Mariners finally got into the playoffs. They had the longest drought in any professional team to make the playoffs. The Sacramento Kings have now taken over that honor.
Yeah.
So for them, honestly, you could see some motivation. Again, no, extremely tough division.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely tough. I can't see them just cakewalking through. And last season, 6-10 in this division, they'd have to get better in their own division and beat some of these teams if they even stand a chance. They, to your point, Ron, young, fast, energetic. Can Mike Brown coach them enough to get them to where they need to be and understand the importance of winning? They haven't played winning basketball in Sacramento in so long. And that sometimes hurts. That hurts a team.
Yep.
We see it all the time in the NFL.
Best, they might be the that. It just
But think about it. Even in the NFL,
when you're in this division, with Phoenix Suns, the Lakers, and the Clippers, it is going to be hard to overcome all of that right now.
And I was my point I was going to bring up is if you look at the NFL sometimes, look at the Detroit Lions. They're very competitive this season, but they still can't win. They don't have that winning culture. Right. It's almost the same thing with Sacramento. I feel like they're going to be in games, Ron. They're going to be competitive. Kenny, they got the players that can win games, but they don't know how to win, if that makes any sense.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think in the division they're in, they're still the last place team that going into the season. Fair statement. Our next big head scratcher. Ron tonight. Our next big head scratcher. Kenny, are you ready to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers? The Lake Show last season, 33-49, which was 11th, so just missed the playoffs. In the conference, 18-34, 3-13 in the division. That one surprised me. 21-20 at home, 12-29 on the road. 8-2 in overtime, though. They played a lot of overtime games.
Mm-hmm. They did.
Points per game, 112.1, which was 11th. Points allowed, 115.1, 28th. 46.9 field goal percentage, 34.7 from three-point range, 73.2 in free throws, 44 rebounds per game, 24 assists per game, 7.6 steals, and 5.2 blocks. They are coached by Darvin Ham, his first year. I like this hire. I think this might help this team. They drafted Max Christie, Cole Swider, Scottie Pippen Jr., Javante McCoy, and Fabian White Jr. Key adds for this team, Patrick Beverly, Damian Jones, Lonnie Walker IV, and Dennis Schroeder. Key losses, Malik Monk, Carmelo Anthony, Avery Bradley, Dwight Howard, and Kent Bazemore. Kenny, who plays for this team that we should be looking for?
His name is
not a commercial right now, by the way.
His name is LeBron James.
Yeah, some guy. I mean, second leading scorer all time in the NBA history, but yeah.
LeBron James.
You mean the GM?
So what about this? What about this? What about this roster, Ron?
Roster. Absolutely hate the roster. This is a mash unit, just continue from last year. Look, you got Russell Westbrook, who says all the things that needs to be said. Oh, wait. Anything that needs to be said, right? Patrick Beverly, those two are already not getting along, which is just great because that's your backcourt. Lonnie Minion, he's gonna be shell shocked when he finds out is going to be, over there in LA. He hate every moment of his year there. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who I
believe you're right. Has he ever had a full season? No. The answer is no.
and I don't even like their bench. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got Shader coming off the bench. You know, it's by those, and mostly guy.
So this is another team. Again, health is going to be critical. Anthony Davis, can he stay healthy? Can he play more than 65 games? LeBron James, as great as a player as he is, and as great a shape as he's in, you're asking a lot now. What, 38? Am I right on that, Kenny? 38-year-old LeBron James?
Yep.
Right? How much more can he, do for this team? Ron already talked about the chemistry between Beverly and Westbrook. The reason why I like some of this, though, is that Darvin Ham has decided to say, look, this is my team. It's going to be my decisions. Anthony Davis will play center, which he doesn't like to do. Russell Westbrook is going to be coming off the bench and running the second unit, which I think may be a benefit to him because now he gets to be the facilitator, whereas LeBron likes to have the ball in his hand. So get the two of them off the court at the same time because it just doesn't work.
Nope. They
could sneak into these playoffs. There's a lot of teams that made it last season that aren't as good this year.
Look, they're not going to sneak into the playoffs. They're going to be in that play-in game. Like that's a given. I mean, like who isn't going to make the playoffs? I mean, you only have 15 teams. There's 5 really bad teams in that conference. You got Houston, San Antonio, Sacramento, Utah, and Oklahoma City. We know those teams.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. I mean, great point. Do we think they have a bounce back year, or is this going to be similar to what we saw last season with this team?
It's going to be similar.
Yeah, similar. Just similar.
LeBron James.
It'll be slightly better. It'll be slightly better because it can't get worse. Well, it could, I guess, but I mean, you're just going to get what you get.
Yeah. Right. Frank Vogel last season, the head coach, the change there at coach, maybe they get a little more motivated, new voice. But again, how much is LeBron James really going to be coached at this point in his career?
Well,
he's going to do what he wants to do.
The fact that, basically the coach was blamed for all of the mistakes that happened, and we know it wasn't really the coach's fault. Mm-hmm. This team just couldn't get out of its own way. And, now they don't have that scapegoat. They don't have that this year. So now it's going to be left up to the players. And that's why I say there might be a little bit of an improvement, but that's about it.
Well, let's talk about the other team in LA. That's the Los Angeles Clippers. They were 42-40 last season, which was 9th in the West. 26-26 in the conference, 9-7 in the division, 25-16 at home, 17-24 on the road, 0-4 in overtime. Points per game, 108.4, which was 23rd, 108.4 allowed, which was 11th, so they basically broke even. 45.8 field goal percentage, 37.4 in the three-point percentage, 79.3 on free throws, 44 rebounds per game, 24 assists per game, 7.4 steals, and 5 blocks per game. They are coached by Tyronn Lue, who's 217 and 148 in his career. Mm-hmm. They drafted forward Musa Diabate. Key adds John Wall, Moses Brown. Key losses Isaiah Hartenstein, Jaden Scrub, and Rodney Hood.
Jason who?
Yeah. That pretty much summed up last season. Scrub.
Wow, Jaden Scrub. Poor guy. We don't get to choose our last names.
No, we don't. No
Kenny,
joke.
who should we be looking for on this team?
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
I mean,
hopefully he
how
won't
long
be.
have been since Kawhi played?
Look, hopefully we won't be looking for him on the bench with the injuries. That's the point. You know,
Exactly.
in a hospital
go, right?
bed.
He's a go at this point, is what they're saying.
Yeah. Right now.
Yeah.
Ron, what about this roster?
Well, you got Reggie Jackson, not the baseball player, but you know he's going to be in that lineup with Paul George in the backcourt.
Mhm.
Kawhi slated to start in that small forward position. Slated to start. Marcus Morris, you know, I like Marcus Morris, you know, and Zubac in the 5 spot. Look, I mean, the bench is okay. Like, well, again, you know, if you're counting on John Wall, you know, he might be sharing the hospital room with Kawhi. So, I mean, if you get a serviceable John Wall coming off the bench, that's pretty good. If you can get them to, but you got Kennard, Powell, Covington. I like some of these players, but
they're a pretty deep team.
Yeah, you know, I mean, but again,
you need Kawhi.
Look, it all revolves around the health of Kawhi. If he goes out, that destroys the depth of this team. And that, unfortunately, isn't a guarantee. So,
again, similar to what I asked before with Zion, I mean, 75% Kawhi?
Yeah. If you have 75% and you're behind.
Yeah, but they have
not saying much.
Yeah, but they have a real solid team. 8 of those players shoot better than 35% from the field.
Right. So what was the problem last year? This is the point I'm making.
George went out. So they lost Paul George and Kawhi Leonard last year.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So then, you know, those close games, you know, last season. Okay. Now, if they can play 75% more, then you're talking a lot of those lost games, those close games that you couldn't have that clutch shooting. You know, like George and especially Kawhi. Kawhi is, you know, he's a clutch player when he's healthy. You know, so those turn into wins. But again, we're talking about players that are always injured now, and you can't guarantee their health. And that is the sad state of the Clippers as well.
How long before this team they blow it up?
If they go in this season with injuries with Kawhi and George, it's going to get blown up at the end of the year.
Yeah, because they can never figure out if they're both on the floor how to work together.
Right.
Because they both can win without each other, but they need each other to make this happen.
Right. Right.
Frustrating team, right?
It is.
The expectation would be.
This might be one of the deepest teams in the league if everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
The problem is just that they're never healthy.
It's a shame too, because the expectation when they got the two of them and they brought them to LA, and you're saying, okay, this is a contender, and we haven't been able to see it enough to even say yes, they are.
Yeah,
we don't even know. Right. Kenny, you nailed it when you said we don't even know how good these two could be together because we haven't really seen it.
Yeah.
No. It's too bad because I would have liked it because I picked them to do well last season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know,
I don't think any of us expected them to be out the entire year. Kawhi.
No.
So, all right, we're going to talk about the reigning champions. That's the Golden State Warriors. They were 53-29 last season, third best record in the West, 33-19 in the conference, 12-4 in the division, 31-10 at home, 22-19 on the road. They were 0-2 in overtime. They averaged 111 points per game, which was 15th in the league. Only gave up 105.5, third best defensive team with points against. So that's pretty impressive if you think about what the Golden State Warriors are. You think offense, very good defensively last season. 46.9% field goal percentage, 36.4 3-point percentage, 76.9 on the free throw line, 45.5 rebounds, 27.1 assists, 8.8 steals, 4.5 blocks. They are coached by Steve Kerr, 429 and 200 in his career. Talk about getting a gift. You got a gift of a team, and he's made out all right. They drafted Patrick Baldwin Jr., Lester Quinos, Ryan Rollins, and Guy Santos. Key additions: Deontay DiVincenzo. I like that pickup. JaMychal Green. They lost Gary Payton II, Otto Porter Jr., and Juan Toscano Anderson, I apologize. Kenny, I think they got a pretty good player too on their team.
They got a couple. They got a couple. Oh, you mean that? Oh, you mean that guy? That guy, Steph Curry.
Some guy. He shoots threes. I think he's pretty good.
Steph
I think
Curry
he's the old. Yeah, chef.
Steph Curry with the chef boy.
Yes. Klay Thompson health here, probably critical as well. Right? And they just big contracts for Andrew Wiggins and also Jordan Poole. Ron, what about this roster though? Who do you like? What else are you looking at?
I mean, how could you not like this roster? No, all right. So let's take first that home record. Look, it is no secret that shooters play really well at home because that crowd gets behind you, that adrenaline goes, and you just feel it. And when they're at home, it is lights out. And when you have guys like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole, I mean, it's hard to overcome that when you're in Golden State's home arena. Your best bet is to make sure that you have home court advantage in the playoffs. And you need to get it done at home. Do we not understand that, Boston? Do we not understand that? Look, it's a machine. And defensively, offensively, these players are smart players, except for maybe one who's a little loose. And he could destroy this team this year if he doesn't get his act together. And I'm not even going to mention his name because I'm just not going to say it on this show. But, I mean, I even like Kevin Looney. He showed me something last season in the playoffs. He played pretty well. And, and like you said, Wiggins, of course, look, since he came over, he's been spectacular. And even when Curry is out, Wiggins picks up that slack, and he's the real deal there. And Jordan Poole, when you can keep churning out players, it's hard to say that these guys aren't going to be a factor going down the stretch. So it's a very good bench. Even though they lost some play, they have more. They have more.
Look, you want to go ahead, Kenny.
This might be the best bench they've ever had with Kuminga, Chinzo, Wiseman.
Yeah.
And I was going to say Wiseman. Wiseman's going to be a key for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we don't know what kind of play he is, and if that kid can end up being healthy, that's a solid big man coming off your bench.
Exactly.
And you know what the great thing about it is? He might not be a factor anymore on the floor, but Andre Iguodala
Oh,
he is probably tutoring Wiseman. And I'll tell
mhm.
you, if he gets any of that in him that Iguodala has, I mean, that's big, big. And I think that's why they still have Iguodala on this roster. I
Yeah.
think he might be more of a key to tutoring these young players than what we think.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't play a coach on at this point. Look, he's limited minutes. He's not going to play a ton of games,
Nope.
No.
but he's going to be able to help that team continue to grow.
Yeah.
And I think Kenny, right, probably one of the best benches in the league.
Yeah.
Realistically,
Yeah,
they have
it
guys
is. I
there.
love it. I love it.
So, question would be, can they repeat?
We'll find out later.
All right, with predictions.
Mhm.
Good job.
We will.
Good job. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns in this division. They finished first overall in the West, 64-18, 39-13 in the conference, 10-6 in the division, 32-9 at home, 32-9 on the road, 2-0 in overtime. They averaged 114.8 points per game, which was fifth overall, gave up 107.3, which was eighth, shot 48.5% from the field, 36.4 from the three-point line, 79.7 free throw percentage, 45.3 rebounds per game, 27.4 assists per game, 8.6 steals, 4.4 blocks. They are coached by Monty Williams, who's 322 and 299 in his career. They didn't have any draft picks this season. They did add Damian Lee and Josh Oakji and Jock Landale. They did lose JaVale McGee, Alfred Payton, and Aaron Holiday. Kenny,
Yeah.
who do they have?
Yeah, Chris Paul,
Chris Paul, CP3.
P3.
How much longer, though, does he have?
I don't think he has too long. Maybe 2 more years at the most. All depends on how he stays healthy, less injuries.
Yeah. Ron, what about this roster? Did we lose Ron? We may have
Yeah,
lost
we
Ron. So, point guard, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, shooting guard. We know what Devin Booker is. Mikal Bridges. I like Bridges, too. Again, another young player.
I love Bridges.
Jay Crowder.
It's going to be a big.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have Chris Paul and Devin Booker in the backcourt. I mean, doesn't get much better than that. You know, you said, look, he's a great player. Ayton, I mean, come on, like this is a solid
Double-double.
solid lineup. There's really only one problem, and that they don't know how to win in the playoffs. And we have this same conversation every year. This team goes all out during the regular season, and then when it comes playoff times, they always get tripped up somewhere along the line. And it usually because somebody like Chris Paul runs out of gas and can't get it done in the playoffs, whether it's a little, minor injury that keeps him out or just, tired. He is up there in age. So, like Kenny said, he's only got a couple years left. They need to really control his minutes. They need a guy that can go in there and play a lot of minutes so that way you have a fresh Chris Paul in the playoffs. That is important. You don't have to put him out there the entire game, to try to get wins by 30 points. When you have a lead and you're going into that, that last quarter, sit him. Make him rest. And then if the other team catches up, then you put him back out there. But you need to give him less minutes so that way he can be there for you in the playoffs when it counts.
Cameron
because we
Payne.
know they're going to make the team. We know they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, that's not a question.
Cameron Payne's going to be a big factor this season. Can he take
Right,
another step?
and-
And if he can,
Right.
gives Chris Paul some rested minutes that honestly may keep him healthy during the end of the season.
Yes.
Because that's what happened
This
again.
is a deep team.
Yeah.
Like you got some guys on that bench, like Jay Crowder. Look, we know Jay Crowder pretty well. Like,
Aaron
that guy knows how to get it done in the playoffs. You know, and you have Saric, and Payne, like you said, like these guys can play.
No, very good team. Very good team. Obviously, their record shows it. They can win on the road or at home. There's really no
Yeah.
deficiencies other than, again, they hit the
The
playoffs
playoffs.
wall. So, can I ask this question? Devin Book, a possible MVP candidate? Can he take that
Possibly.
next step?
It's possible.
Anything's possible. Hey,
He's got Kevin Garnett. Got Kevin Garnett in the background there. He's ready to go. Right? So, if I was going to ask you gentlemen to pick a division winner here, which team is coming out of the Pacific Division as the number one team in this division?
Phoenix.
I have
Oh,
Phoenix.
You have Phoenix, Golden State,
Golden
LA,
State.
Golden State,
I got Golden State.
deeper bench. Yeah, I'm going to question. I just the Warriors. I don't trust the Draymond Green situation, and I agree with Ron. I feel like it may hurt this team. It may hurt this team. There's a chemistry thing that could be a little bit of an issue now, and Phoenix could take advantage of that and win this division. Again, just throwing it out there.
I think this is going to be his last year in Golden State.
You heard it here first.
I
Thoughts
think
on
they've
COVID?
hit their limit. Look, Jordan Poole is more important.
They signed him 4-year
It's
deal,
simple
right?
as that.
Him, Wiggins.
That's right.
They're the next batch coming out of Golden State.
They gonna be okay. Okay. They gonna be okay. We all have, situations where, brothers fight, you know what I'm saying? What's up? What you say to me, you know what I'm saying? Let me tell you, young kid. Stay in your role. Stay in your role.
Wait,
You should be,
young kid.
So
Oh,
you're
you're talking,
defending Draymond
you're
right
talking
he should be
Poole.
he should be thanking Day
For clocking him in the jaw?
Yes. Yes.
What are we talking about right now?
Bring him back down to earth. Bring him back down to earth.
Somebody's
Draymond Green, though,
The
can
other
we
one
say is
back
not
down
as
to
good of a...
earth.
Yeah, to me, Draymond Green is not as good as he was, let's even say 3 years ago. He's a liability offensively.
They don't pay him for his offense. They pay him for his
I
defense.
actually think he's a liability defensively too, because if he's going to go up against the big men, it's really not that great. He can do some stuff, but he's not going to out rebound these big men. I mean, look, I just think he is on his way out of the league, and his skills have diminished, and he's hanging on by the skin of his teeth.
Ooh.
And the only thing that hasn't stopped them from releasing him is basically they don't have anybody else to fill that role yet, until Wiseman gets wise to the game and
See what he
takes
did there?
his job from him.
I see what
See
you
what
did
he
there.
did
Okay. I see
Not
what
bad,
you
not bad. All right.
did. Okay.
All right.
Okay. All
All
right.
right, gentlemen.
So
We are
Golden
on
State second in that division.
We are on to the Northwest Division. We'll bring those teams up, and that would be the Utah Jazz, the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're going to start off with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were 24-58 last season, 14th overall in the West. 17-35 in the conference, 6-10 in the division, 12-29 at home, 12-29 on the road. 4-1 in overtime, though. The kids are clutch in overtime. Points per game, 103.7, which was 30th, the worst scoring team in the league last season.
Yep.
111.8 points against, which was 15th. 43% field goal percentage, 32.3 from three-point percentage, 75.6 from the free throw line, 45.6 rebounds per game, 22.2 assists, 7.6 steals, and 4.6 blocks per game as a team. They are coached by Mark Donald. He's 46-108 in his career.
Ooh,
They
that's
drafted
nice.
Usman Dang, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and Jalen Williams. They added Eugene Omari, and they lost Isaiah Roby. Kenny, who should we be looking for from the Oklahoma City Thunder?
They should be looking for their first round pick.
Again, another one. Yes, he'll be out for a bit.
Their mascot? I don't know.
Alexander?
Hey.
Alexander.
Look, all I know, they're going to be giddy when they find themselves not in last place this year.
Oh, boy.
What?
Josh Giddey. They got Josh Giddey.
Josh
Yeah,
Giddey.
that's why I said that.
Yeah, I know where you're going. I knew what you were doing there. Good job.
Wow. Yeah, they got Josh Giddey. That's about it.
Josh Giddey, Gilgarius Alexander, averaged 25 points last season, 5 rebounds, 6 assists.
Yeah.
What about their roster?
Coming in last. They're not
Is there a
coming in.
guy?
You know, look, I mean, they have the shy guy.
Do it again, Kenny. You got it.
Shy guy. It's funny guy. Mercy.
Oh, yeah. Shy guy.
No, shy guy because it's Gilgeous Alexander. His last name starts with G-I, so it's shy guy. Look, he's a good player, man. Like, I mean, when you look at his numbers, I mean, he was 16th in the league in scoring. Now, he was 16th. I mean, big deal. Well, top 16 is better than what have Utah. You know, like you have him, you have Giddey in that backcourt. I think that's a good start. It's a good start. I mean, it's not gonna get you in the playoffs by no means, but it is a good start, and you have a foundation. If they only drafted a first-round player that could actually not be brilliant, you know, drafting this year's Sean Bradley was not a good help. Like, I know his talent. I get his talent, but that was college. And when the guy is like a pedo, and you have a guy coming down that lane, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, come on. They should have gone with a guy that has the big body, you know, that has the size for the NBA now with the talent. And they should not have to check. Sorry. That's my thought. But, you know, they got Pukasevsky and Robinson Earl also in that starting rotation. Big Dang. That's nice. Nice little people. Yeah. Yeah. They don't have depth. They have a back forming. That's basically what they have. But it is more than that other team in that division.
So,
and we'll talk
how
about
big of
that.
a loss is Chet Holmgren this season for the Thunder, Kenny?
Well,
Real big. Actually, know what? You know what? No, it's not that big.
it is big because like it was almost like a wasted draft pick. You know, like when you get that pick that high, you gotta make it count. And if you get a guy that's going to be that brittle, it's a wasted pick.
So,
It's lost the first year of his career already.
Yeah, but so let's look at it this way. Could this benefit them as, again, maybe another high pick, number one, number two pick? Now he comes back. You've got two number one picks to go
Yeah,
along
but
with
if you get the
Alexander.
same
So
kind of player,
Yeah.
this season's probably a wash.
look, my thought is, look, you have the back. They should have gotten a big man in there that can get in people's faces. That's what they should have done, and they failed. So I have no doubt that this team is going to fail again in the drafting. And they're not going to pick the right guy. They'll probably go somebody in the back court that they already have.
All right. Well,
Period.
anybody in Oklahoma City, we apologize ahead of time.
I'm not sorry. Just add them to the lack of Christmas cards.
Oh, boy. So let's talk about the Portland Trailblazers. 27-55 last season, 13th in the West, 11-41 in the conference, 1-15 in the division. The fact they only won one division game last season, pretty amazing. 17-24 at home, 10-31 on the road. They were 0-2 in overtime. Averaged 106.2 points per game, which was 27th. 115.1 points against, which was 27th. Shot 44.2% from the field, 34.6% from the three-point line, 76% from the free throw line, 42.9 rebounds per game, 22.9 assists, 8 steals, and 4.5 blocks per game. They are coached by Chauncey Billups. It was his first season as head coach. They drafted Shaden Sharp and Jabari Walker. They added Jeremy Grant and Gary Payton in the second, and they lost Eric Bledsoe, CJ Elby, and Joe Ingles. Kenny?
Yeah.
Who should we be looking for from the Portland Trailblazers?
Dame Lillard, baby.
It's Dame
Della.
time, baby. Dame time.
Della Dame. Dame Della.
So obviously the health. The key here is his health, right? As can he bounce back from a very injury-riddled season? This team's better than their record showed. They lost their number one player.
Yep.
But can they replace CJ McCollum with Jeremy Grant? Is that a guy that's going to be able to take some of that scoring?
Oh yeah, he's real solid. He's real solid. He had a good preseason.
Ron, what about the roster? Who else should we be looking at?
Yeah, I kind of like the roster, but, I just get the feeling that this team just always seems to underachieve. And yes, you gotta, again, rely on a guy that's always injured. Damian Lillard, he's going to share the backcourt with Anthony Simmons. I do like the combination, but it's got to be a combination that actually happens. Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant. Grant is a really good player. I like this kid. And Yusuf Nurkic. I like him too. And coming off the bench is going to Gary in the third or second, whatever it is. Obviously, his father was a great player. And, I don't know if he's ever going to live up to that, but he can shoot and he can play. He can off the bench, and that is pretty good. But I just don't think that the team is deep enough to get anywhere in this crowded division with the two teams above them.
Yeah, look, you went 1-15 last season in your division. That's not a good sign. Yes, you lost Damian Lillard, but you still have enough talent.
Yeah. And
I would question their bench. Again, they got a lot of good role players. Yeah. Nobody that can really take over for a second unit and become Dame's out,
right?
Or Dame, takes minutes off in a game. Who's the guy that's going to step up and take that scoring? And that's where I would start to question this team. They may be similar to what they did last season.
I have this team finishing 7th overall in that conference. Now, again, that is if they stay healthy. Lillard has to be healthy. And, we're talking about those teams, all these teams that we're talking about, Portland, Clippers, Lakers, Orleans, they're all got question marks with health. Those 4 teams that have 7, 8, 9, and 10, going into the play-in, now they can flip-flop depending on injuries.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a crap. But do I think any of them are going to vie for a championship? No.
Wow. Kenny, any other thoughts on Portland before we move on?
Nope.
All right.
Nobody has any thoughts on Portland.
So
Portland, you're off the list.
Oh, boy. Another Christmas card. Go on. Let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Talk about a team that made some interesting moves this offseason. Last season, 46-36, which was 7th overall in the West, 29-23 in the conference, 12-4 in the division, 26-15 at home, 20-21 on the road, 2-1 in overtime. They averaged 115.9 points per game, which was the number 1 scoring team in the league. They gave up 113.3, which was 24th. Shot 44.7% from the field, 35.8 from the three-point range, 77.8 from the free throw line, 44.2 rebounds per game, 25.7 assists, 8.8 steals, and 5.6 blocks. They are coached by Chris Finch, who's 62-61 in his head coaching career. They drafted Josh Minot and Wendell Morey. Key additions: Kyle Anderson, Brian Forbes, some guy named Rudy Gobert, and Austin Rivers. They did lose Malik Beasley, Pat Beverly, Leandro Bolmaro, and Jared Vanderbilt. Kenny, who are we looking for from the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, who should have been Rookie of the Year. Solid player. Solid player.
Does he take over now? Is he more the leader than Towns at this point?
Yes. Towns is just come off the bench.
You think he's going to come off the bench, Towns?
No. He's not going to come off the bench.
Oh.
But he might. You got Rudy Gobert in there, so he might come off the bench.
Power forward.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Ron, what do you got for this lineup? How do you see it?
I have Gobert playing the 5 spot. Towns playing the 4. Jaden McDaniels is going to play in that 3 spot, and then the backcourt is going to be Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell. I think that starting 5 is just as good as any starting 5 in the league. And you got some guys that are going to come off the bench, and you hope that those guys contribute, because if that bench can play solidly, you're looking at a team that could go to the finals. Like, it's that good. Defensively, this team is going to be solid, because I think that might have been the hole in their game last year. But bringing on Gobert solidifies that. And not only does it solidify it, his play defensively is going to rub off on the other players like Towns and them.
Look, moving Towns to power forward, to me, is going to be such a help for him. He's not a true center. He's more of a scoring power forward.
Right.
You put Gobert in that center position. I love this move. People question it.
It's going to free him up so great. He's going to have a monster year.
And he's not going to be the guy that everybody's looking at. To your point, Kenny, Anthony Edwards takes that spotlight.
Oh,
yeah.
Towns has to just make sure that he stays relevant in the offense. Gobert plays the defensive side of the ball. They've got a solid 3. And let's not sleep on Russell. He's very capable of averaging 20 points a game.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So good team, very good team. Problem is though that I think the team ahead of them is better, and we're going to talk about them next because the Denver Nuggets. When we talk about a healthy team, if they're healthy, last season 48-34, which was sixth overall in the West, 29-23 in the conference, 6-10 in the division, 23-18 at home, 25-16 on the road, 3-2 in overtime. They averaged 112.7 points per game, which was 10th, 110.4 points against, which was 14th, 48.3% from the field, very good shooting percentage, 35.3 from 3-point range, 79.5 on the free throws, 44.1 rebounds, 27.8 assists per game, 7.2 steals, 3.7 blocks. They are coached by Mike Malone, who's 353 and 308 in his career. They drafted Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, and Colin Giuseppe. Key adds Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Ish Smith, Bruce Brown, and DeAndre Jordan. They lost Monty Morris, Will Barton, Austin Rivers, DeMarcus Cousins, Jermichael Green, and Facundo Campazzo.
How do you spell that?
Campazzo. Kenny, who are we looking for on this team?
The MVP, Jokic.
Nikolai Jokic.
Need
Problem would be, again, who's the second guy? Who's the guy that honestly takes some pressure off of him? Jamal Murray is back.
Jamal Murray.
I like the fact, again, healthy. Him, Michael Porter Jr., very good. 1, 2, 3. But Ron, what about this roster?
Yeah, it's going to be Murray and Caldwell Pope in the backcourt. They're gonna have to,
The Broncos probably would
have have to. Yeah, they're gonna have to play with some pace, and try to move that ball up and put some pressure on the defense. Because everybody's going to just key on the Joker. That's what they're going to do. Like, you have to. And those guys have to start moving the ball around the court and looking for an open man besides Joker, because that is the only way this team is. They're in a very similar situation as Dallas. Okay, you know who the ball is going to go through, to get the points. And if the teams are going to stop playing defensively, to stop that, they have to have an alternative. And with Murray being there, I think, that's gonna help. He has to make sure that other people are open, because if you start turning the ball over, it is just a disaster waiting to happen. So, I think the season basically falls in the hands of Murray, to be honest with you. I know we all want to say it's in the hands of Joker, but it really is Murray that it's going to, fail or succeed.
When this team was very successful, Jamal Murray was one of the top players in the league. Unfortunately, again, that knee injury.
Yep.
Hamstring
issues.
All right. So you got to question, how healthy can he be continuously? Aaron Gordon, another player that, again, we should expect to be a contributor on this team.
Right.
And then Michael Porter Jr., can he stay healthy? He has not proven to stay healthy. They need this. If they get the four of them and they're all healthy, then you get like a DeAndre Jordan to spell some minutes for Jokic. That would be key. I think the same thing we were talking about with Chris Paul. He needs some rest sometimes. He's got to be a guy, because they're going to need, if they're going to make a deep playoff run, they're going to need him at full strength and, able to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is this team a contender?
Absolutely.
Yep. most definitely.
One of my favorite teams, I think. I'm telling you. Let's go on to the final team here in the Northwest Division.
Yeah, you tried to tell us that last year, I believe.
I don't know. I don't look. My baseball picks were horrible.
You should that yeah. So were your basketball.
Utah Jazz.
Listen to me and Kenny.
Should I even bother talking about what they did last year? Because it's a completely different team. But 49-33 last season, fifth overall. 33-19 in the conference.
Yeah,
15-1
they were great
in the
last
division.
year.
15-1 in the division. 29-12 at home. 20-21 on the road. 2-0 in overtime. They averaged 113.6 points per game, which was seventh overall.
Yeah.
107.6 points against, which was 10th. 47.1 field goal percentage, 36% from the three-point line, 76.7% free throw shooting, 46.3 rebounds, 22.4 assists, 7.2 steals, and 4.9 blocks. They are now coached by Will Hardy. It's his first year. He's a rookie coach. They drafted Walker Kessler and Johnny Juzang. They added Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Leandro Bowman, Colin Sexton. They lost Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Royce O'Neal, and Patrick Beverly. Kenny, who are we looking for on this team to be the next star since they've lost Donovan Mitchell?
Didn't they pick a Lauri Markkanen?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I always liked Lauri in Chicago. Solid player. He just needs to have some people around him to make him better.
Yeah, he's going to be doing this, looking, searching. I see Kelly Olynyk over there. I mean,
hey, Kelly Olynyk,
Ex-Celtic.
That man just makes his way around. He gets around.
Right.
They're deep at guard. They're very deep at guard, right, Ron?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're deep. Look, they're gonna have Mike Conley back there and Colin Sexton. The starting lineup is okay. Lowry, Markkanen, Vanderbilt. They have Olynyk. I mean, he can shoot. I mean, look, this team is going to struggle all year long with a rookie coach that doesn't have the experience to get a young team to play cohesively. It could be a nightmare for Utah.
They've got some players, though. They do have some players.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the fact that, again, Markkanen, Kenny already touched on, Rudy Gay off the bench, not bad. And deep at guard, Jordan Clarkson, Malik Beasley, Walker. I mean, they've got guys that average double digits, but it's going to be crucial that some of these guys, again, take that next step. Can Colin Sexton, who, again, looked like he was going to be a player.
You have that bench. They have some guys that, get double digits, but they were playing a lot more elsewhere.
Yeah.
And this is, again, you got a rookie coach. And see, this is why I like the San Antonio situation, because you have Popovich, who really knows how to get to those younger players. And it's not going to be the same situation here. Yeah, I mean, you have a rookie coach trying to teach young players, what to do, and it might not gel as easily. This is definitely going to be a rough season for Utah. I don't doubt that they have some skilled players. I don't doubt that at all. I like some of these players, and frankly, I wish some of these players were in Boston. Like I like Lowry Markkanen. I like him a lot on a complimentary team.
Aging point guard, right? With Mike Conley, that could hurt them as well.
Right.
How much minutes is he going to be able to play and contribute? Look, the expectation is, and we know where they're going in Utah. It's
Yeah.
more about the draft and building through that, making some trades, and then rebuilding in a couple
Some of
years.
these guys, some of these shipped out.
Yeah, by the trade deadline, I'm sure there'll be some of those guys that will be. Absolutely. Gentlemen, we finished the West here. We are on to the
Yes.
East.
And just so you know, even though this is the NBA, the Bruins were down 3-0. They just tied it up.
Wow. All right. Go Boston.
That's right.
Boston. And the Celtics are in a tight one with Philadelphia right now. So, all right. So we're on to the Southeast Division. And the teams are Miami Heat, the Atlanta Hawks, the Charlotte Hornets, the Washington Wizards, and the Orlando Magic. And we'll start off with the Magic here with 22-60 last season, 15th in the East. One of the worst teams in the East, obviously. 12-40 in the conference, 3-13 in the division, 12-29 at home, 10-31 on the road, 0-4 in overtime. They averaged 104.2 points per game, which was 29th. 112.2 points against, which was 20th. They shot 43.4% from the field, 33.1 from three-point range, 78.7 from the free throw line, 44.3 rebounds per game, 23.7 assists, 6.8 steals, and 4.5 blocks. They are coached by Jamal Mosley, who's 22-60 overall. It was his first year last season. They picked up in the draft Paolo Banchero and Caleb Houston. No key ads. They did lose Robin Lopez. Kenny, who should we be looking for on this team?
The kid from Duke, Paolo, Paolo.
Paolo?
Yep.
Paolo Banchero.
Banchero. Great ball handler. He's great in the pick and roll. With Franz, he's going to be that backcourt's going to be real good.
So questions here would be health again. Markelle Fultz, I know he's out for some time now. Jalen Suggs, last season's pick, he got hurt last season. So again, young team, very young, some capable players, but unfortunately, health's an issue here as well. But who else do you like on this roster, Ron?
Yeah, this team's gonna struggle. Look, I mean, I look at just what they're spending on the bench. It's eye-opening that they're spending more on the bench than they are in the starting lineup. Like they're paying $17.4 million for Jonathan Isaac to play on the bench. Bolts 16.5, gonna come off the bench healthy. Harris 13, Terrence Ross 11.5, Bamba 10 and $3 million coming off the bench, and those aren't even your starters. So this team just spent money on probably one of the worst benches, considering the money that they're paying for the bench, and it's not really helping them. But I do like Banchero. I like that draft pick. I think they made out in the draft.
Yeah, much better than. Yep.
You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, much more consistent of a player. He's going to contribute. What about Bol though? Nobody wants to throw in Bol. Bol's out there coming off the bench.
Yeah, no, I didn't get to all of them. So, but look, I mean,
not a lot on this team though. Terrence Ross. Again, Jalen Suggs and Markelle Fultz not being healthy, probably not playing. That could hurt them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, again, another last place team. Again.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah. So I have them in last. Yeah.
And not an easy division to begin with. So.
No, they're basically the ugly duckling of this division.
Ugly duckling.
Duckling.
So let's talk about the Washington Wizards, who 35-47 last season, 12th overall in the East, 24-28 in the conference, 7-9 in the division, 21-20 at home. It's 14-27 on the road, 3-1 in overtime. 108.6 points per game, which was 22nd. 112 points allowed, which was 16th. 47.2% from the field. 34.2% from the three-point line. 78.3 free throw percentage. 43.1 rebounds per game. 25 assists per game. 6.4 steals and 5 blocks per game. They're coached by Wes Unseld Jr. He was 35-47 his first year as coach last season. Drafted guard Johnny Davis and center Yannick Noza. Key adds Will Barton, Taj Gibson, Monty Morris, Dion Wright. Key losses with Davis Barton, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Raul Nato, Thomas Bryant, Ish Smith, and Thomas Zodoransky. Kenny, who should we be looking for on this team?
Bradley Beal, if he can stay healthy. Some guys you feel so bad for, and I feel for Bradley Beal because he is a solid player. He comes to bring it every year, but he just can't get over the hump, and he gets injured. It's just like so sad.
And they did add Porzingis. So Porzingis, they're not a bad starting lineup. Ron, do you not like this lineup?
I do like the lineup, and I don't feel bad for Bradley Beal because he had a chance to get out this year and he resigned. So I don't feel bad. You know, look.
Loyal, right? He's loyal.
Yes, I get
What's
that,
that in
and that's
sports? That don't
fine.
exist.
That's fine. You know, look, Porzingis always brings championship attitude to any team.
He said that with a straight face.
nothing.
That was pretty good. That was pretty
Yeah,
good.
you like that?
Look, Ron's playing,
no, I
Ron's
do-
playing poker while we're all playing, gin rummy.
Yeah. Look, I do like Monty Morris. I do like Bradley Beal. Will Barton.
Off the bench. Taj Gibson.
They have some players that comes off that bench, you know, and I like this team.
Kuzma.
I think this team under last year.
Yeah.
Maybe due to some injuries and stuff, but I think this team can make a push this year. They do have to be healthy. Do I think they're gonna vie for any championship? No, but I mean, this is a tough conference to play in, and you got to be up for it. And if you have any injuries, it is going to suffer.
Yeah.
And
They can't
'cause-
lose Beal.
no,
That's a
they
fact.
can't. They can't.
And then
You
I
know,
like. What about Kyle Kuzma? I mean,
I think
17
he's a
points,
great
9
player.
rebounds rate, solid player.
Solid. Real solid.
They got a good team.
Get that
It's
kind of
just, again,
production.
yeah. Coaching could be the issue with this team.
Mm.
Unseld Jr., I mean, how good of a coach is he to be able to get them to perform like a championship team? I would question that.
Yeah, I mean, there are coaches available.
What about let's talk the Charlotte Hornets here. 43-39 last season, 10th overall. They did make the playoffs. 27-25 in the conference, 8-8 in the division, 22-19 at home, 21-20 on the road. They were 0-7 in overtime. That could be a key. 115.3 points per game, which was 4th overall. 114.9 points against, which was 25th. 46.8% from the field, 36.5 from the three-point line, 74% from the free throw line, 44.6 rebounding, 28.1 assists per game, 8.6 steals, 4.9 blocks. They are now coached by Steve Clifford, who comes back as the head coach. He was 292 and 345 in his first stint as head coach. They drafted Mark Williams and Bryce McGowans. No key adds, no key losses here. Already some injury concerns. LaMelo Ball will be out a few weeks, is what they're saying currently. Obviously, we know Gordon Hayward and his injuries. If I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan, Kenny, who are the key guys that I should be looking at?
The other teams.
The key word you mentioned there is no change. This team has stayed the same, and that's what makes them great, because they were a team last year, but going to be a great team this year.
Wow, great team.
And
Faceless, thanks for joining.
And as soon as we get over, the team will be a team to reckon with.
Okay. Ron, what about the roster? Who do you like?
You know, I don't like the roster.
What?
I actually disagree with Ken. Look, they have some good players, but to me, these players are pieces for other teams. Don't see really going to carry them to the playoffs and beyond. Look, LaMelo Ball, I like LaMelo Ball, but Terry Rozier, to me, he's a bench player. Comes off the bench, he's more effective. Then you're gonna want him to be the key guy on your lineup. Gordon Hayward, when does he ever stay healthy? When was the last season that he's played a full season? I mean, really. He came to Boston. I think he sat for Boston for 3 years. Look, Plumlee, Washington. Look, I think these are all nice pieces, but they're nice pieces to complement the stars. And this is the problem with this team. Yes, they made, some progress last year, right? But they stayed the same. And to me, that was not a good thing in this conference, because the fact that Brooklyn is going to be better. Cleveland's going to be better. Atlanta's going to be better. They underachieved so bad last year.
I'll give you Atlanta. I'll give you Atlanta, Ron.
Come on. You're in a conference with Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Brooklyn, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Chicago, Atlanta, Toronto. They are all better than Charlotte. And the only question now is whether Washington is better. And if they have a healthy Beal, they are better.
Wow.
Period.
Wow. What about Kelly Oubre Jr., though, off the bench here, too? I mean,
look, I say they're all nice pieces. But again, they're all complementary pieces.
Yeah, they don't have a star, right? They don't have the guy.
No,
LaMelo
Ball,
Ball's a good player. He's going to make guys around him, but he's not going to be a superstar. He's not going to be the guy that you say every night, that's it, he dominates. Right. He does enough to get everybody involved and make them, exciting. Ron might be right, and I'm again, hockey guru, but he's showing up the basketball guru right now, because I think he's right about this Charlotte Hornets team, Kenny.
I don't even have them making the playoffs.
Ron, are you?
Nope.
Ron.
I'm serious. I like Washington better. And we already all those other teams are better than Charlotte, so then it's just a question of whether Washington is.
How could you like Washington over Charlotte? We're talking about Washington.
Yes, I do.
Because
you know what they have? You know what they have that Charlotte doesn't have? Bradley Beal. No, Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal? I give you that. Porzingis?
I'm going to let you two just go for a minute. It's fine.
How do you get? How do you get?
Probably be
How do you
traded
get beat up
midpoint
in
for
your own
some.
bar?
The
How do you
teams
get
all
beat up
know
in
that
your
they
own
use
bar?
Porzingis for a trade. That's what they do.
How do you
They
get beat
trade
up in
him for
your own
somebody they
bar?
really need.
Yeah,
Matter of fact,
you own your bar. Oh yeah, yeah.
Porzingis, I'm from this,
You get,
Kenny. Porzingis
you
will be
get beat
traded
up
to
and you get
Charlotte.
kicked out your own bar.
Porzingis will be traded for Charlotte, and they'll probably get Rozier back for him.
All right, boys. Good conversation there. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks. Last season, 43-39, 8th overall in the East, 26-26 in the conference, 9-7 in the division, 27-14 at home, 16-25 on the road. So they definitely have to improve on their road record. 0-1 in overtime. They averaged 113.9 points per game, which was 6th, 112.4 points allowed, which was 21st. 47% field goal percentage, 37.4 from the three-point line, 81.2% from the free throw. Finally get an 80% team in a free throw, which is amazing. Rebounds, 44 per game, 24.6 assists, 7.2 steals, 4.2 blocks. They are coached by Nate McMillan, who's 736 and 641 in his coaching career. They drafted AJ Griffin and Tyrese Martin in the draft. They added Aaron Holiday, Frank Kaminsky, and DeWanche Murray. That's a big add there. Lost Giorgio Dang, Diallo Gallinari, Kevin Huerter, Kevin Knox II, Lou Williams, and Dion Wright. Kenny, if I am a Hawks fan, who am I looking at?
Ice Trey, baby. Ice Trey.
Ice Trey. Getting a little chilly in here. Getting a little chilly.
Mm-hmm. What's chilly in here?
Getting a little chilly. Ron, what about the roster? We might have lost Ron again. Justin Holiday, John Collins. John Collins, another big player. Clint Capella, double-double as well. So, good starting five. Murray coming. Now, they got Murray coming off the bench. I think he starts.
Yeah.
So you put him, Trey Young, Hunter, Collins, Capella. That's a very good starting five. Kaminsky off the bench. Question still would be depth. Bogdanovich off the bench as well. They got two solid bench guys, but other than that, not very deep. Would we agree?
Yeah, I agree. Look, this team underachieved last year. It's hard to believe that they didn't make the playoffs. You know, when you have and Murray will be a starter. Him and Young will be the backcourt. Hunter, Collins, and Capella are all going to start as well. Look, I think that should have been enough to make the playoffs last season, and it was not. They just played poorly, and a lot of times without any effort. And that is alarming. Because if you can't get up to play for your games, especially when you're trying to make playoffs, and you can't get up for a game, that isn't a good sign. Now, do I think they're going to make the playoffs? Yes, I think they're a much better team than what they showed last year. And I think the criticism that they took during the offseason is probably enough to get them motivated and, you know, look at themselves in the mirror, and they're going to do something about it this year. So I think a motivated Atlanta Hawks is what we're going to see this year, and it's about time, to be honest with you.
Trey Young, MVP candidate?
No,
not quite there yet.
Not yet.
No. Yeah.
So we are on to the final team here in the Southeast, and that is the Miami Heat.
Going to Miami.
Easy, Will Smith. 53-29 last season, number one record in the East, 35-17 in the conference, 13-3 in the division, 29-12 at home, 24-17 on the road, 1-3 in overtime. They averaged 110 points per game, which was 17th overall, 105.6 points allowed, which was fourth. So very good defensively. We know what Miami brings when it comes to defense. 46.7% from the field, 37.9 from the 3-point line, 80.8% from the free throw line. So a second team in the 80s go free throws. Rebounding 43.7, 25.5 assists, 7.4 steals, and 3.2 blocks per game. They are coached by Eric Spoelstra, 660 and 453 in his career. They drafted Nikolai Jovic. So another Nikolai in there. No key additions. Key loss, PJ Tucker. Obviously signed Tyler Hero. They kept some of these guys together. Are they going to be the number one seed again, Kenny? And who should we be watching this season in Miami?
I don't think they'll be the number one seed.
Okay.
And the key player on that team should be Bam Adebayo.
Are you saying that Charlotte is going to be the number one seed?
Yep.
Oh boy. I told you we gotta wait till the end of the show. Kenny's picks. It will be amazing. It will blow you away. It will blow you away. Ron, what about this roster? What do you like? What don't you like?
Look, this is clearly the best team in this division. Look, I like Lowry, Tyler Hero, Martin, Butler, and Adebayo. That's the starting lineup. Then you got guys like Oladipo, Robinson, and Haslam. Sorry, Haslam coming off the bench. They got some pieces. Nikola Jovic, he looks good so far. I like that. I think this team is clearly going to be the number one team in that division, in my opinion. I can't see anybody beating that starting lineup in that division. There's just nobody can compare to that.
Yeah. The only thing I would question, Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure how long he's going to remain in Miami. I've got a feeling, again,
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that either.
This could be a trade scenario with Jimmy Butler this season.
Yep.
No, you could be right, and
if that happens, that definitely hurts this team.
Well, of course. I mean, you're taking away a piece that is a look. He does the intangibles. Look, Boston could have ran them out of the buildings, both Miami and in Boston, if it weren't for Jimmy Butler. To be honest with you, I think Butler kept everything close, and that's something that every team wants. Every single team is going to want a Jimmy Butler on their team.
Yeah.
And it's just what will happen, with Miami after that point. Even if they trade him, during the trade deadline, there's still going to be a team that's probably going to be able to skate through into the playoffs because they'll be in the mix.
Kyle Lowry, big key.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of disappointed. Last season was much more expected of him. Can they get more? Victor Oladipo, can he stay healthy enough and be the Victor Oladipo that was averaging 20 points a game with Indiana?
Right.
No.
So that they've got some question marks. And then Bam Adebayo, as good of a player as he is, Kenny, I agree with you. I also feel like he plays down when the competition is high.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And I felt like that's what happened against Boston, that he had
Yes.
one good game in that series. And again, Jimmy Butler, if he got any contribution from Bam in that playoff series, Boston would not have made it to the finals.
Right. No, that's what I was saying. Jimmy Butler kept that close.
So it's going to be an very interesting division. But let's talk about the Central here and the teams that we're going to discuss. We'll bring that up for you. Detroit Pistons. Be ready for this conversation with Kenny. Indiana Pacers. the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Chicago Bulls, and the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to start off with the Detroit Pistons, who last season were 23-59, 14th overall in the East, 18-34 in the conference, 6-10 in the division, 13-28 at home, 10-31 on the road, 3-1 in overtime. It's funny how all the bad teams are really good in overtime, though. 104.8 points per game, which was 28th, 112.5 points per game given up, which was 22nd. They gave up more than 8 points per game. 43.1 in field goal percentage, 32.6 in three-point percentage, 78.2 free throw percentage, 43 rebounds per game, 23.5 assists, 7.7 steals, and 4.8 blocks. They are coached by Dwayne Casey. In his head coaching career, he's 477 and 505. They drafted Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. Key adds Alec Burke and Noel, and key losses with Jeremy Grant. Kenny, who are we looking for from the Detroit Pistons? Because you're telling me this is a team to watch.
This is a team to watch. If this kid Ivy is what they say he is, this team is going to be so exciting, and they will make the playoffs.
Wow. I don't even know if I could continue. Ron, what about their roster? I don't know what else to say here.
All right, so the backcourt is going to be Cade Cunningham and Ivy. Now let's just put some perspective on this. Ivy and Cunningham and Ivy. Like this, I mean, don't you think that with the inexperience alone, they're going to run into problems with ball handling and stuff like that? I mean, and then you throw Sadiq Bey and Bogdanovich and Isaiah Stewart. That's their starting lineup.
Bagley Jr., Bagley the third.
Bagley will come off the bench. Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel. Look, they have some big guys on this team that, you know, we don't even know really who's going to win out that center position, whether it's Stewart. Stewart has it right now, but that could be gone, you know, tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, because Noel is there. They have Jalen Duren, you know, so they don't really know even what they have. So I don't think this team can contend for the playoffs.
Agreed.
Not yet. I think it's too young, and
they were a fun team. They'll be a fun team to watch.
And they will bring a lot of energy. Kenny is right about that. They will be exciting to watch. They will be exciting. Then they probably won't get run out of too many games. You know, when you're talking games like Milwaukee, you know, Boston, that scene, and Brooklyn, those teams will give them, you know, fits. But
they have to improve defensively.
Right.
And I don't think they did that with any of the pieces that they added.
No.
You know what I mean?
In the preseason, in the preseason, even though we don't count preseason, they shot 50%, 50.7% of the team. All they need is a little defense. They got Casey is a real good coach. If you can coach them up and let them run.
No, I think, look, Kenny, I agree with you in this. I think they're going to be a fun team. Yeah, I think they're going to be a fun team. Cade Cunningham, if he takes that second-year leap,
right,
they could be a very interesting team. Do I still think they have enough to get past a lot of these other teams? No. But I think they could be an interesting team. They could be in that mix for that 10th spot to possibly get into the playoffs.
See, the problem with this team is that they're in a division with Milwaukee, Chicago, and Cleveland. And say what you want about Chicago, they're still a better team than...
They have nice pizza? You said say what I want. I just assumed you...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, love deep dish. Right?
Yep.
You didn't see that one coming, did you, Ron? You said, say what you want about Chicago. That's your fault.
Okay.
It's okay.
No, Eric, that was your mother's fault.
Oh, my poor mother. Let's move on to the Indiana Pacers.
Sorry, Mama T.
They were 25-57, 13th overall in the conference, 11-41 in the conference, 2-14 in the division. Not very good in the division.
No.
16-25 at home, 9-32 on the road. They were 4-4 in overtime. They scored 111.5 points per game, which was 14th, but also gave up 114.9 points, which was 26. So not very good there as well. 46.3 from the field, 34.4 from the three-point line, 76.8% from the free throw, 43.9 rebounds per game, 25.4 assists, 7.1 steals, and 5.6 blocks. They are coached by Rick Carlisle, who's 861 and 746 in his head coaching career. They drafted. What was that?
Ex-Celtics, sorry.
Okay, yeah, very good. Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nemhard, and Kendall Brown. They added Daniel Tice and Aaron Neesmith, and they lost Malcolm Brogdon. Kenny, who are we looking for on this Pacers team? Who's the guy?
You're going to be looking for Brogdon.
This kid Benedict, he is a good player, averaging 30 points in the preseason. He is going to be a really, really good rookie. He might get Rookie of the Year.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Ron, what about the roster? Who else do you like?
Well, I actually like Tyrese Halliburton.
Very good player.
I think he's ready to take another step forward. Look, let's face it, you're dealing with a lot of younger players, so but I think they have some nice pieces. Buddy Hield, he's a good ball player,
Yeah.
Hey, look, they picked up some Boston Celtics, right? All those great players from Boston.
We question Daniel Tice every time, and we know the heart he brought to that team, though.
Absolutely.
So you can say he's a very good role bench player.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a big improvement. Look, where Daniel Tice is going to improve is the mental portion of this team, the young team. He's going to show them how to be in this league. And, I'm not going to say that again, but Tice is a very serviceable center. Look, he's not a bad player. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded to Boston again. And look, Naismith, I mean, he's probably just needs a place where he can play.
Yeah, it might be a scenario where he gets an opportunity to do something.
Look, we don't really know what he's capable of doing. He didn't play enough in Boston to find out. And when you're a young player and you barely play, you might be pressing too much. And in this case, he might realize that, okay, there's not the pressure at Indiana as there is in Boston. And he might be able to settle down and he might be able to find his game. I mean, if it happens, then they got a guy that can come off the bench and play, a good role. So, I mean, they got a good-looking young team, but they're still not ready.
Yeah, and can I say, does Miles Turner not get enough credit?
No, I think he's a good,
Right.
solid player.
Yeah, solid player.
Right. So again, you talk about the starting five. I think they're decent. I like the coach.
Yeah.
Some of these guys off the bench, right? Neesmith, if he can play and play well.
Yeah.
TJ McConnell, again,
Right.
another good scrappy player. They could be a scrappy team. They should improve defensively for sure.
Yes.
Question would be, again, can you get enough scoring output from some of these guys? Can Buddy Hield turn into a 25 a night guy, which right now he's averaging 16 last season?
Right.
Ron, I think these guys get more time now because where they were before, they were kind of role players and weren't
Yeah.
getting the touches. Maybe one of these two guys, Halliburton, I agree with you too. We thought he was going to be, one of these guys. So again, maybe more touches, more time on the floor. He turns into a 20, 25 point a night guy.
Yeah, that's
as
what
well.
they're hoping for. That's what they're hoping for.
So interesting, very, very good conversation there, because they could be an interesting team that, again, not a playoff team, but you could see the building blocks where next season, when we're doing our preview show, we may be talking about the Indiana Pacers as a playoff contender.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
mean, when you think about it, if they get a couple of good years under their belts for, to get that experience, then we're looking at, Chicago could fall below both, Indiana and Detroit in a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if one of those teams steps up, then we got a new player in town,
Without a doubt. Here's our third very interesting team, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. 44-38 last season, 9th overall in the East, 27-25 in the conference, 10-6 in the division, 25-16 at home, 19-22 on the road. They were 2-0 in overtime. They averaged 107.8 points per game, which was 25th. Only gave up 105.7 points per game, which was 5th. 46.9% from the field, 35.5% from the three-point line, 76% free throws, 44.2 rebounds per game, 25.2 assists, 7.1 steals, and 4.2 blocks. They are coached by J.B. Bickerstaff. He's 146 and 225 in his head coaching career. They drafted Ochai Agbaji. Key additions: Donovan Mitchell, Robin Lopez, Ricky Rubio. They did lose Rajon Rondo. Kenny, what about this Cleveland Cavaliers team?
Donovan Mitchell is a nice add to that. Good backcourt, very good backcourt, but I'm just not enough bigs. Not enough bigs. You can't play small ball all year long. Not enough bigs.
Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Kevin Love, Robin Lopez.
You say
What?
Kevin? You say Kevin Love?
Kevin
Yeah.
Love.
You say Kevin Love?
14.7 rebounds last season.
He's on his last leg. Put him out of his misery.
I think you're sleeping on this team.
They need a solid big guy. They can
Evan
They can-
Mobley.
Mobley.
Evan Mobley, 15 points, 8 rebounds last season. Jared Allen, 16 and 11.
Yeah.
And where were they last year? Thank you.
They made the playoffs without Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland was
Good
guy. Now you
backcourt.
just added another 25 plus a night guy
Good backcourt.
to that team.
Good backcourt, but
You basically replaced Rondo for Mitchell, and they made the playoffs last year.
they won't this year.
Yes, they will. In
y'all
fact,
off
I'm
y'all
saying that they're going to be second in this division.
What?
Absolutely. I think
Right.
this team is
Right.
much better than Chicago Bulls.
Right.
And you can't even compare Detroit and Indiana to Cleveland. You can't compare them. Like this team is really solid.
You cannot honestly tell me that you think the Pistons have a better shot than the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes, I do. Tell me I do right now.
What are we talking about right now?
Well, yeah,
It's Detroit.
Paris LeVert.
Are you
17
from
points per game.
Detroit?
Donovan Mitchell,
I never
Darius
been to
Garland,
Detroit.
Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Ricky Rubio off the bench,
Ricky-
Kevin Love off the bench, Robin Lopez off the bench.
Robin Lopez.
Those guys alone.
Look,
Robin
this
Lopez?
Stockton off the bench.
Robin Lopez. Robin Lopez.
This
It's
team
Robin
is going
Lopez.
to compete. This team, I would not be surprised if they make it to the semifinals of the
What
conference.
Donovan
Not-
Mitchell did with
not
Utah.
to-
What did they have in Utah? He's got more talent now with Cleveland than he did in Utah.
yeah, it is.
He had him and Rudy Gobert. Who else?
Angles. He had a couple guys off the bench. Are you kidding me?
You're off your rocker. You were supposed to be my basketball guy. I don't know what's going on right now. Whoever took Kenny and replaced him with this guy, we need Kenny back.
We'll see. We shall see. We shall see.
Cleveland Cavaliers right now, he's saying, are not a playoff team.
No.
With Donovan Mitchell.
Nope. No.
I think we might need a new guy to do the basketball rankings because I'm starting to get a little nervous.
All right, we'll see. All right. I'm not gonna say I told you so. Okay.
You will tell me, and I expect you to if you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be wrong, and I'm going to tell you I told you.
Look, we all know
I'm a
that when it comes to these predictions, that everybody is going to listen to what I'm telling them.
I'm gonna get in the car.
You know what? I'm about to fight you like Jaylen Brown and Joel Embiid are fighting right now.
Can I get a cup of water?
Let's talk about those Chicago Bulls that Ron brought up. They were 46-36 last season, 6th overall in the East, 29-23 in the conference, 10-6 in the division, 27-14 at home, 19-22 on the road, 1-1 in overtime. Averaged 111.6 points per game, which was 13th. Gave up 112 points per game, which was 16th. 48% free field goal percentage, 36.9 from the three-point line, 81.3 from the free throw line, 42.3 rebounds per game, 23.9 assists, 7.1 steals, and 4.1 blocks. They are coached by Billy Donovan, who was 320 and 234 in his coaching career. They drafted Dalen Terry. They added Andre Drummond, Goran Dragic. They lost Troy Brown Jr. He's coaching for the Patriots now, and Tristan Thompson. Kenny, I'm going to ask you this question, and I'm not sure you're going to give me a legitimate answer here because I can't trust anything you're saying right now because you're going to tell me Alex Caruso. But who should we be watching for in Chicago this season?
Chicago has a real good team. Okay, solid team. I like your backcourt. Okay, all right. I just don't trust. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Lonzo Ball?
Who?
Lonzo?
Oh,
Zach LaVine?
No.
DeMar DeRozan?
Yes. Thank you. I just don't.
We would have got there eventually.
Yeah, I just don't really trust DeMar DeRozan. I mean, he's a good player, solid player. He had a hell of a season last year, but can he duplicate it? And Zach LaVine,
MVP candidate for quite some time last season. So it is interesting. Ron, what about the roster? Kenny brought up a couple of guys here. So
okay, so if you want to talk about DeMar DeRozan, would they want him to duplicate last year? Because all I saw is him have a great regular season and then disappear in the playoffs.
Thank you.
So if you want him to duplicate that, then great. Because that's not going to get you anything.
We've seen that. We've seen that his whole career, even in Toronto.
Right, but they're also don't forget they're going to have a rookie starting at point guard. So Ayo Dosunmu,
yep,
he is going to be the starting point guard this year. Lonzo Ball, didn't he get injured?
He's going to be out for some time.
Yeah. So so you're already taking away from a bench. So you have, one of your guys is going to be out. They have Nikola Vukovic. They have Patrick Williams, also in the starting lineup. But then you're talking your bench is going to be Andre Drummond, Alex Caruso, Kobe White, Goran Dragic.
Yeah,
like
nice
I'm not, you know the names, but really, you expect them to still be productive?
They got Antetokounmpo. I mean, it's his brother, but
yeah, enough.
No, you don't.
Look, know,
No.
this is a team that when the starting guys are out on the floor, they might have a pretty good, you know, run.
How big the loss of Lonzo Ball though? That's a big
That's
loss
big. It's big.
because he's the guy that facilitates all of this.
Yeah.
And Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, two very good players.
Yeah.
But I think Kenny's right. You said it. Their playoff, you know, prowess is not what it needs to be. They don't do what they need to do. They don't have that clutch factor. And they could very well be a good team with, you know, some production in the regular season, but ultimately it's about playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just interesting to see that. How long does Billy Donovan last here? That would be my question too.
Depends on when they blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. This could be the last year you see these guys together. I could see
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Changing next season as well.
Season.
So let's talk about the number one team in this division last season. That was the Milwaukee Bucks. They were 51-31, third overall in the East, 33-19 in the conference, 12-4 in the division, 27-14 at home, 24-17 on the road, 1-2 in overtime. They averaged 115.5 points per game, which was third overall. Gave up 112.1, which was 19th. They shot 46.8% from the field, 36.6% from the three-point line, 77.6% from the free throw line, 46.7 rebounds, 23.9 assists, 7.6 steals, and 4 blocks per game. They are coached by Mike Budenholzer, who's 426 and 293 in his career. They drafted Marjan Beauchamp and Hugo Besson. They added Joe Ingles. I think that's a sneaky big move. No real key losses here.
Sharpshooter.
Right? Your opinion of the Bucks, Kenny, and who we should be looking for.
Oh, Giannis, of course. You know, we know what he does, but Ingles, he's a sharpshooter, boy. He is a sharpshooter. And a good pickup. Good pickup by the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right? Very sneaky. Nobody was really looking. That's a big pickup for them. It's one of their keys last season, right? They didn't have a guy that they could count on shooting outside.
Yeah.
Ron, what about this lineup?
The starting lineup is just you know, as good as anybody, if not maybe the best in the league. I mean, Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, a healthy Chris Middleton, Giannis, and of course Brook Lopez. I love this starting lineup. I think it is the best in the league, but definitely top 3. You know, I mean, you can argue, you know, a couple of guys as opposed to other teams, but I'll tell you, you're not going to have a stronger lineup than what they can throw out right at the beginning. So that gives them an advantage over just about everybody. And then, you know, when you can bring some guys off the bench like Portis and Ingles and Connaughton and even Serge Ibaka, you know, I mean, you have experience. That playoffs. I mean, this team is built to win a championship.
Yeah. Yep. No, look, a very deep team. Again, I think the Middleton injury last season definitely derailed, right? And they still took Boston to 7 games.
Yes.
Without Middleton. So Middleton back, stays healthy. Could they make it back to the finals and win it again?
Giannis is just a beast.
Yes.
Best player in the league, right? By far?
I think so.
Yeah.
Most dominant player, at least?
Second best player in the league.
30 points, 12 rebounds last season. I need to hear who's number 1, Kenny.
Huh?
Yeah, I do too.
Who would be the number 1 player?
Steph Curry.
As dominant, though, as Giannis, though? Dominant. We're talking just
Dominant? Dominant. I'm sorry.
Right?
Dominant.
Sheer will. If he wants to score on you, he's going to score.
Yeah, exactly.
Steph Curry's best shooter in the league, by far.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Can score from anywhere on the court. But if a guy wants to just take over, Giannis can do that.
Yep. Giannis.
What would be the hiccup this season for this team not to make it back to the finals?
Injuries.
Yeah, if Chris Middleton gets hurt.
Yeah.
That would hurt. That would hurt. Right? No loss to Giannis either, right? He's stayed healthy.
Oh no, if he goes down,
well.
it's over. You might as well just
But-
pack it up.
But very good. Look, very good team. Probably one of the most deepest teams when we look at it. Their second line, honestly, could go in and probably start for some teams.
Yeah, you're probably
Namely
right.
Detroit. I have to take a shot at Kenny there. Namely Detroit.
And Charlotte.
No, Kenny. Come on. All right, let's move on. We're on our final division here, the Atlantic Division. We're going to bring those teams up, and that's the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Toronto Raptors, the Brooklyn Nets, and the New York Knicks. All these teams have an opportunity to make the playoffs, maybe besides this last team that we're going to talk about right away, and that's the New York Knicks. They were 37-45 last season, 11th overall, just missed the playoffs, 22-30 in the conference, 5-11 in the division, 17-24 at home, and then 20-21 on the road, 1-2 in overtime. Points per game, they were 106.5, which was 26th. 106.6 points allowed, which was 6th. So very good defensively. We know what Thibodeau brings when it comes to that part of the game. 43.7% free throw, a field goal percentage, not very good shooting the ball. 35.7 from 3, 74.4 from the free throw line, 46.1 rebounds per game, 21.9 assists, 7 steals, and 4.9 blocks last season as a team. Head coach Tom Thibodeau, 430 and 322 in his career. They drafted Trevor Keels. They added Jalen Brunson and Isaiah Hartstein. They lost Alec Burke, Kemba Walker, Taj Gibson, and Noel. Kenny, who am I looking for if I'm a New York Knicks fan? Who's going to be the guy?
You know what? For the past 3 years, I've said the Knicks are going to make the playoffs, and I'm changing my mind.
You're finally giving up on them?
They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. No. Even Tibbs is a defensive genius. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. But they got Mitchell Robinson, J.R. Barrett, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson. They got a good core, but they're not going to make the playoffs. I'm sorry.
Okay. What about this roster, Ron?
Yeah, to me, this team is just an enigma. Like nobody has figured out what to do about this team. For so long, they've had countless GMs, countless coaches, and no one can seem to get the job done. So that leaves maybe just one thing:
Ownership.
Yep.
And the ownership doesn't take responsibility for anything, and therefore you will never have this team being successful until that happens. I mean, look, Randall is a fabulous player. I like him, and I wish he was in Boston. And maybe he can be someday soon. Barrett, again, even Evan Fournier is a very good, serviceable player. Should he be starting? Probably not. He probably should be coming off the bench. Brunson, another one. They have some good players on this team. Even on the bench, they have Derrick Rose coming off the bench. Yes, he's not the Derrick Rose of old. Injuries saw to that. But still a great guy to come off the bench. You still have Cam Reddish that can come off the bench. So they just can't get that one guy to do what they need. And
The year they made the playoffs, Julius Randle became a guy that we all said, wow, look at that leap from coming from LA and what he was able to do. And then last season took a step back.
Right.
And RJ Barrett is a very good player.
Yeah.
Again, but I think they need help. Who that comes from, I don't think it's Brunson. I thought that was a bad pickup a bad signing for them. I don't feel like he's the guy that's going to make them better
No,
or a playoff contender.
a
I
good
like
piece.
their young talent. Quigley, Obi Toppin, I think are very good players that can
Yeah.
contribute. But I agree. I just don't know if there's enough on this team for them to make the playoffs.
Especially in that division.
Right? I think, again, the next 4 teams, honestly, should all make the playoffs. They're all that good. And we're going to talk about this is our 4th most interesting team. And that's the Brooklyn Nets. Last season, 44-38, 7th overall in the East, 31-21 in the conference, 10-6 in the division, 21-20 at home, 24-17 on the road. They're actually better on the road than they were at home. Overtime, they were 2-1. They averaged 112.9 points per game, which was 9th overall. Gave up 112.1 points per game, which was 18th. Shot 47.5% from the field, 36.1 from the three-point line, 80.5 from the free throw line, 44.4 rebounds per game, 25.3 assists, 7.1 steals, 5.5 blocks per game. They are coached by Steve Nash, who's 92-62 in his head coaching career. They picked up in the draft Onlis Williams. They added Royce O'Neal, TJ Warren, and Edward Sumner. They lost Bruce Brown and Goran Dragic. Kenny, other than Kevin Durant, who's one of the guys we should be looking at when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets?
Oh, Ben Simmons.
All right. What an interesting. Agreed. I just
He's the guy that could stir the drink to, put this team where it was supposed to be last year.
Where do you play him though? Would be my only question.
Well, they're
Point
gonna put him in the 4 spot.
Point guard.
No, that's not where they're gonna put him.
They should. But
That's not what they're gonna do.
but yet the coach is Steve Nash. And I'm sorry to say, no disrespect, he's a terrible coach.
I'm not saying he's not.
Usually when you say no disrespect, you're disrespecting, but so go on.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but he's a terrible coach. He is a terrible coach. Great player, terrible. Has no idea what he's doing.
So
It's
But you
So
can't
as-
take Kyrie out of the point guard position.
So as of today, this is their starting 5. Kyrie Irving in the point guard position. Joe Harris, shooting guard. Kevin
Kyrie?
Durant, small forward. Ben Simmons, power forward. And Nicholas Claxton at center. That's their starting 5. As of today.
Decent team. Decent. Patty Mills off the bench.
Right.
Seth
Seth
Curry
Curry.
off the bench.
Sumner,
Yeah, like
O'Neal.
it all goes through, right? Kyrie's mental state, Kevin Durant, his health, and then Ben Simmons. What is Ben Simmons
and
going
that's
to be?
Ben Simmons can't play power forward.
Why not? He's a
There's no
rebounding
sense of him-
machine.
There's no sense of him playing power forward. So therefore, what do? It's just a mess.
You
He should
can't
be playing
put him.
point guard.
You're not going to put
He has to
Kyrie
be
at point guard. You're going to take Kyrie out of the point guard. Where do you put Kyrie?
You can't. You have to keep him as point guard.
So what do you do with Ben Simmons?
So Ben Simmons. So thank you. You can't play
Or do you
center.
move- or do you
He
put-
shouldn't play
put
power
Ben-
forward.
What about Ben Simmons at small forward? Ben
can't
Simmons at
shoot.
small forward. Small forward.
He can't shoot.
You don't need to
He
shoot.
can't
You
shoot.
got 2 other guys that are going to shoot. You got Durant and
shoot.
Kyrie are going to take most of the shots. You don't need him to shoot. You don't need to shoot.
So you telling me you're gonna put him at small forward?
I would
You gonna put him at power forward?
either
After what
one.
happened last year? Oh, my
Yeah.
back. Oh, this. Oh, that.
He got paid. He made his money. He got his money from Philadelphia. He's ready to play now. He just was waiting to get his money. If you had a good
Yeah.
attorney, you know they tell you sit at home. If you get in a car accident, don't go to work because they want to make sure they get as much money. He said, if I play, I'm not going to get as much from Philadelphia. He sat because that's how much mental anguish he had.
He ain't got it all here. He ain't.
Listen. I would take this team and say they are a very strong contender to be in the finals.
No.
If all these guys play, they are a strong contender.
No.
Ron, would you not agree?
I agree with that statement.
Steve Nash, terrible coach.
Sometimes terrible coaches don't really matter, though. You got enough talent. It's more about talent in the NBA. Head coaching is probably more important in the NFL than it is in the NBA.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I would do, though. I would try Ben Simmons at point guard and move everybody else up.
Thank you.
I would try that because I think there is value in Ben Simmons facilitating, knowing that he's not going to shoot, and passing the ball to a Kyrie to get that shot, or passing the ball to KD or Harris. You know, you can play a small lineup for the starting five and having KD move up into that power forward spot, and it's not going to really change anything. It's just going to put Ben Simmons bringing the ball up the court and making the pass, as opposed to Kyrie and having Kyrie dictate how the offense is going to move. I'd rather have Simmons dictate how the offense is going to move.
Yeah.
Because Kyrie is a little selfish, and I think that is what caused a lot of the issues.
It very well could have. And again, to me, Ben Simmons is more valuable to this team as a distributor and a rebounder than he ever is going to be as a scorer. Right. They're not looking for him to score. You want to get Kyrie and Kevin Durant in situations now where they don't have to handle the ball. They can work off screens and get open that way. So this team, if Ben Simmons plays and plays well,
right,
they are, I'm telling you, they are finals contender.
The season rests in his hands because if he, if it says on what it says that he's going to be the starting power forward, he might not be so happy. And if he is disgruntled in any way, that's going to cause more chaos in this team.
Yep.
And then that's going to rub off on Kyrie because Kyrie's going to have an attitude with Simmons because that's what Simmons should be doing. And if you want to have any success, you really need to figure out what the players do best and then work with that. And if that hurts Kyrie's feelings, then it hurts Kyrie's feelings. But in the case of putting him at power forward, if you hurt Ben Simmons, then what's going to happen is there's going to be this clash with Ben Simmons and Kyrie the whole way, which is going to happen either way because Kyrie will act the same way if he's not the point guard. So somewhere down the line, someone will have to go.
Okay, interesting.
And they'll both take their balls and go home, last year.
Literally,
ball and go home. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Toronto Raptors. They were 48-34 last season, 5th overall in the East, 30-22 in the conference, 10-6 in the division, 24-17 at home, 24-17 on the road, 3-2 in overtime. They averaged 109.4 points per game, which was 20th overall in the league, 107.1 defensively, 7th, so top 10 defensive team. Field goal percentage, 44.5%, 34.9 from the three-point range, 75.9 from the free throw line, 45.3 rebounds per game, 22.1 assists, 9 steals, 4.6 blocks per game. They are coached by Nick Nurse, 186 and 122 in his career. Picked up Christian Koloko and in the draft, and then added Otto Porter Jr. No big key losses here for this team. Kenny, who's my guy in Toronto?
Fred VanVleet. Freddie.
VanVleet.
Wait, Greta VanVleet?
And they also have a record-breaking 8 international players on their team.
Wow. Interesting stat. Fun fact.
Yes, that's a fun fact.
Fun fact. Ron, the roster?
Yeah, Fred Van Fleet and Trent Jr., is their backcourt. Uh, Anunoby, Bonds, and Siakam, however
Siakam.
you want
Siakam. Yes,
however you
Siakam.
pronounce his name. Pascal.
Hockey. Yes.
That rounds out the starting. Thaddeus Young, Porter, Boucher, they're all coming off the bench. They have a really nice team. The problem is they're in a very difficult division, especially now with Brooklyn. Looks like it could be in. It's going to be very tough. So, we'll see what happens, and that's it's going to be a battle. I think
This is an extremely tough division.
Yeah,
and Siakam's a phenomenal player. I mean, those that don't know, he's a legit scoring machine.
Yeah.
Scotty Bonds was a rookie that just came on last season.
That's a good ball player.
And I like their backcourt. I really do. Again, the problem is I think all these teams are going to beat themselves up this season. I think all these teams are in contention to make it to the finals. They're all going to beat each other up.
And health is going to be a key. And I put Toronto in the same lump with probably, I'm assuming, the next team that we're going to be talking about. They're going to battle for that. I think they're going to battle for that third spot. And one of the team that doesn't get that third spot is going to be in a very difficult position, and they're going to have to be in the play-in.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for one of those two teams. And there's really not a whole lot you can do about it.
No, I agree. Look, it's going to be interesting. All these teams going for Brooklyn, we talked about Toronto in that same group. Which guys are going to be able to step up and become, that forefront? And You're right. The next team we're going to talk about, I think they were in the same boat. They're all riding this wave right now, and one of them's going to come crashing, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. 51-31 last season, 4th overall in the East. 32-20 in the conference, 6-10 in the division, 24-17 at home, 27-14 on the road, 3-1 in overtime last season. Averaged 109.9 points per game, which was 18th, 107.3 given up, 8th overall, 46.6 field goal percentage, 36.4 from the 3-point percentage, 82.1 from the free throw line, 42.3 rebounds, 23.7 assists, 7.7 steals, 5.3 blocks. They are coached by Doc Rivers, who's 1,043 and 735 in his career. They drafted Julian Champagne in the draft. They added P.J. Tucker, DeAnthony Melton, and Danuel House Jr. They lost Danny Green, Paul Millsap, and DeAndre Jordan. Kenny, who's the guy? Who's that guy now on Philly?
Embiid. Joel Embiid.
They will, again, go as far as his health takes him, I believe, as well. Probably the best big man besides Jokic in the league. But a lot of key guys on this team, Ron, right? Their roster looks pretty loaded.
Yeah, they're like I said, they're kind of in a similar situation as Toronto. Like Philadelphia has Maxey Harden, Harris, PJ Tucker, Embiid. That's a pretty solid, starting lineup. And even coming off the bench, they're going to have some guys like House. Like we've seen him come off the bench and do really well. And Nang and Milton, like they have some guys that can come off the bench and put in the minutes and give those other guys a rest and still be productive. The problem is there's two other teams in this division that are really good. And, Embiid with his health, I mean, is he going to have another season where he can play all year long? Because he hasn't done that before.
This is where we had an argument early in the year on the regular Sports Unfolded show. If you haven't watched, check us out every Friday night, 6 p.m., Rhode Island Broadcasting. Harrell. They picked up Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah.
I think, again, if you think about a bench guy that can come off the bench and spell Embiid and take some minutes away to keep him healthy, I thought that was an important pickup. And we argued about it, Ron, but now the more that I see this, again, you're going to expect a lot. I'm going to tell you what's really going to matter for the 76ers. James Harden and what you get out of him.
Yeah.
Are you getting James Harden, Houston Rockets? Are you getting Brooklyn Nets, James Harden? And if you get Brooklyn Nets, James Harden, they are going to struggle.
Yeah.
You get Houston Rockets, James Harden, where he's shooting the ball well, he's creating, he's doing so much more. They will be a team to contend with without a doubt. The problem is, I just don't know if he's ever going to be that player again.
Well, the problem is he doesn't do what's necessary to win. And that is the problem. So, like, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't do what you need to do to win in the playoffs, then there's no point in having you on a team.
And I'm going to say this, and Kenny, I'm going to use your no disrespect.
Oh, so you just disrespected him.
But I'm going to kind of doubt Doc Rivers and his coaching.
I'm way past that.
He's had a ton of talent. The 1 year he won it in Boston, you think about what they brought in. He's had every team he's had with the Clippers and now with the 76ers. They're a very talented team, and yet somehow in the playoffs, he cannot figure out how to win.
No, because it wasn't him that figured out how to win.
It was Garnett. That was
Garnett. Exactly.
And again, I would start to question, is he the right coach for this team? Is this what's holding the Sixers back? Besides the move to get Harden and not sure what he's going to be able to bring, it could be Doc Rivers. And this could be the year that Doc Rivers is gone after the season if they don't make it far in the playoffs. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
We saved the best for last. As you can tell, we are a local team. We support our local team. So if you see the little picture over there across from Kenny, the other side, Kenny, there you go. That's the big three, the former big three in Boston. We're going to talk about the Boston Celtics, who last season were 51-31, second overall in the East, 33-19 in the conference, 9-7 in the division. They've got to improve on that. Home, they were 28-13, 23-18 on the road, 4-3 in overtime. 111.8 points per game, which was 12th overall, 104.5 points given up, number one defensive team in the league last season. 46.6% from the field, 35.6 from the three-point line, 81.6 from the free throw line, 46.1 rebounds per game, 24.8 assists, 7.2 steals, 5.8 blocks per game. They are going to be coached this season by Joe Mazzulla. We know about the Ime Udoka situation. They drafted J.D. Davidson in the draft. They added Malcolm Brogdon, Donald Gallinari, who's out for the season, and Blake Griffin. They lost Daniel Tice and Aaron Nesmith. Kenny, who are we watching this season with the Boston Celtics?
Jason Tatum.
Is this the year that Tatum, we finally say, look, is the one of the best players in the league?
Yes.
Ron shaking his head no.
Most definitely.
No.
Most definitely.
What does he need to do to make you a believer, Ron?
Well, he has to have better control of what he's doing. Like he's a runaway train, at a lot of points in the game. And unfortunately, it's happened a lot in the fourth quarter, and he becomes a non-factor except for turning the ball over. And that goes for Jaylen Brown as well. And to be honest, that's what's holding them back It's the carelessness and the recklessness that they play with because they put so much pressure on themselves that they don't stay contained within themselves. And this is the difference between a player like Steph Curry or Giannis than what you get with Tatum. It's like he tries to do too much at times, and it really hurts rather than helps. And until he fixes that, in my book, he will never be one of the best.
So motivational wise, though, losing in the finals, being up in the finals, does that help this team, or does the coaching change hurt this team? Which one is going to be a greater effect on what happens with the Boston Celtics this
Well,
season?
we're going to find out rather early and see what we see from Tatum late in games. Like, we all know, like, he can take over a game in the fourth quarter when you're playing a team like, say, New Orleans or Detroit or Charlotte.
A lot of shots on Detroit.
You know,
he must be from Detroit because the same thing with Jared Goff. He loves the Lions.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what, so, but he can take over a game like that. But when you're dealing with guys that have gotten it done, it's a little different story. He plays reckless and he's not in total control, and we've seen it. So now, if he's motivated, if he took film from those playoffs and he watched those back, he would see what we're seeing. But he's got to be able to criticize his own game before he can fix his own game. And look, there's not a whole lot he has to fix, but he has to fix that trying to do too much thing.
I will say this is probably the deepest they've been in quite some time.
Absolutely.
You added Brogdon. I like that move. Blake Griffin, yes, he's an older player who we're not expecting a ton from, but again, experience. The loss of Gallinari, that kind of hurts because, again, we think about what we were expecting him to be able to do. Rob Williams in that injury, it will affect this team. Do we not feel that that's going to be one of those things? They're talking possibly January, February before he comes back.
Right.
Yeah.
And we think about what they did defensively last season. Marcus Smart and Rob Williams are basically being talked about as defensive players of the year, both of them.
Right.
Yep.
You take one of those guys out and you take a double out, and it's going to be, I'm going to question, can they replace him soon enough? I think Brad Stevens has to make a move to get a center in there that's going to be able to help contribute earlier. Cousins, Dwight Howard, one of these guys, look, that at least is going to be able to rebound, get some blocks, do some things, because they are a championship caliber team. I think they're there. I really do believe that at this point. And it's not us being homers. It's the fact that I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are two legitimate stars in this league. It's the guys around them now that they need to make sure they build the right pieces around for them to be successful and get to the championship again.
Yep. Now is the time for them to step up and say, hey, our team is in turmoil. Come on, guys, let's go. Jump on our backs. Because this coaching thing might be a blessing in disguise. It might be a Mark Jackson situation. You never know.
No, it's a great point, right? Steve Kerr came in and was able to take them to a final and win it. And Joe Mazzulla, who knows? I mean, you don't know the kid. We can see him come out and do some amazing things. I mean, they're up right now in the game against Philly. You know, so he might be able to coach this team up a little more if the players respond to him. I'm excited to see what happens with them this season because I really feel like this is a team that honestly could go so many different directions. But the sky's the limit if they play together.
Right.
And they play together. So that concludes all 30 teams. We broke them all down. We're going to give you an MVP, our MVP picks. We're going to give you 3 guys that we feel could be MVP this season. And then we're going to give you our playoff teams and then how the playoffs are going to break down and who's going to be the champion this upcoming season. So we'll go our third guy, second guy, first guy. Ron, you want to lead us off your third choice for MVP?
Sure, as soon as I figure out where I wrote it.
Ooh,
My third choice for MVP is Ja Morant.
Ooh, I like it.
okay.
I like
All
it.
right.
I have high hopes for Memphis. Um,
Okay.
and I think he is such a force. And he's going to bring it to another level this year.
Awesome.
And
I like that.
that is my third.
I like it. I like it. Kenny, who do you got?
I got Jokic at my third.
Jokic, right? Takes
Yeah,
a step back. Can't win 3 straight. Be very
yeah.
tough. Be very tough. And I think he's got more talent now, so some guys are going to take some points away from him. I went Luka Doncic. I think Luka is going to play well enough. I still think Dallas isn't going to be a top contender, but I feel like he's going to do so much this season that we have to look at him as a MVP candidate. Number 2, I had the Djokovic.
Mhm.
Again, I think there's going to be guys that take it away from him. But Kenny, who'd you have it to?
Oh, I had Steph Curry.
Steph, the chef, cooking it up. Ron,
At number 2, I have the Big Cat,
ooh,
Carl Anthony
look at it!
Towns,
Wow, MVP candidate.
MVP.
Wow, the
And
cat.
you talk about me, Eric?
Yeah, number 1, Ron.
Giannis.
Giannis to win it again, MVP.
Yes.
I can't believe I'm going to say it. Kevin Durant. He is going to be motivated to prove everybody wrong from last season.
You're right.
Kevin Durant will be the MVP.
No.
Kenny, finish this MVP conversation off. Can't wait.
Jason Tatum.
Wow.
Oh my God. Oh God, please.
Wow.
I'm
JT
look. I'm sending the
MVP.
paddy wagon over there. They're gonna give you a nice white jacket to put on, and they're gonna take you somewhere where it's gonna be very calming and relaxing. Kenny.
We'll make sure the pads are green, though. We'll make sure the padded room is
Yes.
green.
Yes. Yes.
So this way, at least you'll be like, oh, look, I was right. You see?
Yeah.
JT. Wow. All right. All right, gentlemen, it is time to make our playoff teams. So 10 teams make the playoffs. So we'll start in the West,
Oh,
and we're going to say which 10 teams will make the playoffs. Kenny, I will let you go first. Go 10-1. Who's your 10th seed to your 1 seed
oh, in the West?
in the West?
All right. Number 10, Jazz. We're going 10-1, right? In the West?
The
Utah
paddy wagon
Jazz.
is on the way.
Yeah, call them, Ron. Call them. Utah Jazz, who lost basically everything. You
Wait,
got
hold
to
on.
make it the playoffs.
Sorry. My thing is out of okay. All right. I didn't have the Jazz. I'm sorry. I apologize.
All right.
All right.
Number
Can
10.
I go? Can I go to second? Because I'm trying to.
Okay, go ahead. Ron, you want to go or you want me to
All
go?
right, I'll
first?
shed some light on the subject.
All right.
In number 10, I have New Orleans.
Okay.
Number 9, I have the LA Lakers. Number 8, the LA Clippers. Number 7, Portland. Number 6, Dallas. Number 5, Denver. Number 4, Golden State. Number 3, Phoenix. Number 2, Memphis. And number 1, I have Minnesota.
Wow. We were pretty close. We got to sum that with the same. I didn't. So I'm going 10. I'm going the Trailblazers. Number 9, I had the Lakers. Number 8, the Mavs. Number 7, the Clippers. 6, the Timberwolves. 5 the Pelicans, 4 the Warriors, Suns at 3, Nuggets at 2, Grizzlies at 1. We had some the same. Kenny, what do you got?
You said the West Coast, right? I'm all confused right now.
Yeah.
All right.
We're on the way.
Western
All right.
Conference, Kenny.
All right. Western Conference. So 10, I got Timberwolves. 9, Lakers. 8, Mavs. 7, Portland. 6, Sacramento. 5, Memphis. 4, Phoenix. 3, Denver. 2, Dallas. 1, Golden State.
Okay. All right. We all had the Lakers at 9. So we assume they get in, but it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty.
Very interesting. East Coast, Eastern Conference. I'll start us off. Ron, you're second. Kenny, you're third.
No, I
I'll
have to
start
go
us
to
off,
another
or you want to
page.
start?
Oh, I'll start it.
All
It's
right.
fine. I have no problem with that. You know, people are going to listen to me anyway and then tune you guys out. Number 10, I have Washington. Number 9, I have Atlanta. Number 8, Chicago. Number 7, Philadelphia. Number 6, Toronto. Number 5, Cleveland. Number 4, Brooklyn. Brooklyn, not Lind. Number 3, Miami. Number 2, Boston. And number 1, Milwaukee.
All right. All right. Ready? I'm going to blow your mind on this one, Ron.
Not really.
Number 10, I have the Bulls. Number 9, I have the Hornets. 8, the Hawks. 7, the Raptors. 6, the Cavs. 5, the Nets. 4, the Sixers. 3, the Heat. 2, the Celtics. 1, the Bucks. 1, 2, 3, Ron. We had the same 3
Yep.
for the Eastern Conference. Kenny, where's Detroit going? Go ahead.
All right. I got 10, Washington. 9,
Okay.
New York. 8, Toronto. 7 is Cleveland. 6 is Brooklyn. 5, Detroit. Miami, Milwaukee, Atlanta, 76ers, and we got Boston.
Wait a minute. That's 11
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah, he put one of the teams in. He just threw Detroit in there so he can make it sound.
Wait, hold on.
I
That's
don't know.
11 teams.
All right.
Yeah, right.
So the play-in tournament, 7 plays 8, 9 plays 10.
Yeah.
The winner of 9-10 has to play the winner of, or the loser of 7-8.
Where does the 11th team go?
Yes.
Oh, no.
They come off the bench and help out. So in the West, Ron, you had who at 7, 8, 9, and 10?
So I have Portland, Clippers, Lakers, New Orleans.
All right. So 7-8 matchup is?
Oh, is that how it goes? It's not 7-10?
No,
No,
7-8.
Oh, what the hell? All right. So then in that case, it would be Portland and Clippers.
All right. Who do you got winning that?
Oh, I had it different, but I'm still gonna go with Portland.
Okay, so they become the 7th seed.
Yep.
9-10 matchup.
Lakers, New Orleans,
Who wins?
and I'm gonna go with the Lakers.
So the Lakers play your loser of the 7-8 matchup, which was,
Clippers,
so who wins the Battle of LA?
Lakers.
So the Lakers are in the final 8.
Yes.
All right. Kenny?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready or you want me to go?
I'm ready.
All right. So your 7-8 matchup,
Mavs Portland.
who wins?
Mavericks.
Your 9-10 matchup,
Uh, Timberwolves and Lakers.
who wins?
Lakers.
So who wins your play-in game?
Mavs. Mavericks.
You already had them winning, no? You had the
No.
Mavs winning?
Yeah.
And then who wins? So the 9-10 winner plays the loser of the 7-8.
Right.
So the Lakers win. They play who?
Mavericks. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know.
No. Slow down with me, Kenny.
Okay.
7-8.
All right.
The Mavs get in. You said they win in the 7-8
Yes.
matchup,
Right.
right? They go to the
Right.
7th seed automatically.
Right.
Who's the loser of that game?
Portland.
Portland.
Portland's playing the Lakers then to get the 8th
Yes.
seed. Who wins
Yes.
that matchup?
The Lakers.
Lakers. Okay, there you go.
Did
All
I just?
right. No, you did not. You kept saying the Mavs.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
7-8
okay.
matchup. I got the Clippers and the Mavs. I've got the Mavs winning that. 9-10. I got the Lakers Blazers. I got the Lakers winning. They will play the Clippers for the 8th seed. Clippers beat the Lakers and get in as the 8th seed. So then we go into 1 versus 8 is the Grizzlies Clippers. I got 4-5 as Warriors Pelicans, 3-6 Suns T-Wolves, 2-7 Nuggets Mavs. In that 1-8 seed, I got the Grizzlies beating the Clippers. I've got the Warriors defeating the Pelicans in the 4-5, Suns beating the T-Wolves, and the Nuggets beating the Mavs. So my final 4, Grizzly Warriors. I've got the Grizzlies upsetting the Warriors, getting to the Western Conference Finals. Nuggets defeating the Suns to get to the Western Conference Finals. The Denver Nuggets, fully healthy, are your Western Conference champions this upcoming season. Kenny, go ahead. You don't even know 7, 8, 9, 10. You messed that all up. Go ahead. Don't give me that look. What do you got?
You know what? I can't do it. I can't do it. I got to do all that.
Okay.
I got Golden State coming out the West. Okay, that's all
Golden
we
State
need to
coming
know.
out of the West. Okay.
That's all we need to know. Okay, Golden State coming out the West.
Golden
Okay?
State wins the West.
Yes. Go ahead, Ron.
All right,
Let's
I
go
got
with-
Minnesota defeating the Lakers.
Okay.
I've got Memphis defeating Portland. I've got Golden State defeating Denver. And I have Dallas defeating Phoenix. So Dallas becomes the 4th seed.
Okay.
All right. So I have Minnesota defeating Dallas. And I have Memphis defeating Golden State. Setting up Minnesota, Memphis for the Western Conference Finals. And I have Minnesota coming out of the West.
Very high on Gobert. I could see.
That
All right.
should have been
Kenny?
last year.
Kenny, I'm afraid to ask the 7-8. So should we not go to that and you're just going to tell us your East pick after?
Yep.
All right.
One of these.
All right. So 7-8 matchup, I have the Raptors Hawks. And the 9-10 is the Hornets Bulls. I have the Hawks winning the 7-8 matchup, becoming the 7th seed. I have the Hornets beating the Bulls and then defeating the Raptors to be the 8th seed. So my 1-8 matchups, Bucks, Hornets. 4-5 is 76ers Nets. 3-6 Heats, Cavs. 2-7 matchup, Celtics, Hawks. I have the Bucks defeating the Hornets. the Nets defeating the Sixers, the Heat defeating the Cavs, the Celtics defeating the Hawks. It's my final four. Bucks next. Bucks defeat the Nets to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Heat defeat the Celtics to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bucks are your Eastern Conference champions, and they will face the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals.
You said Bucks?
Bucks Nuggets.
Okay.
NBA Finals.
Okay. Get ready for this one. All right. I have Philadelphia and Chicago in the 7-8. I have Philadelphia winning that one.
So they're the seven. Okay.
I have Atlanta playing Washington in the 9-10 spot. I have Atlanta winning that. They go on and play Chicago. Chicago wins that.
Bulls your 8th seed. Got it.
Bulls are my 8th seed.
Hmm.
I have Milwaukee beating Chicago. I have Boston beating Philadelphia. I have Brooklyn beating Cleveland in that 4-5 spot. And I have Toronto defeating the number 3 Miami.
Ooh, okay.
I have Milwaukee defeating Toronto and Boston beating Brooklyn once again. I have Milwaukee beating Boston to go to the finals.
So we both have the Bucks. Kenny, can you make it a trifecta? Who is your team that will be the Eastern Conference champion?
Celtics.
Yeah, well, Celtics.
Let's get
So
Tatum
you got
as
the
the
Celtics
MVP,
versus
so
who? Kenny?
Repeat.
Celtics
repeat of
versus the Warriors, right?
Repeat.
Ron, you have the Bucks
Okay.
versus
Minnesota.
Grizzlies.
Yep.
Oh, Minnesota. That's right. Minnesota. All right. So, gentlemen, it is that time.
Who do you have?
is your
Who do you have?
NBA?
Eric, who do you have?
He has
I
Milwaukee,
have the Bucks
Denver.
Nuggets.
Bucks Nuggets. Okay.
Gentlemen, who is your NBA champion this upcoming season? Kenny. We got to hear Kenny's first.
Boston Celtics.
Oh, boy. All right. All right. Kenny's got the C's.
Once bitten, twice shy.
I am going Denver. The Joker gets his first ring. They will defeat the Milwaukee Bucks in 7.
Wow.
I have Milwaukee in 5.
Defeating the Grizz.
No.
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 Minnesota.
In 5 games.
So Bucks, Celtics, Nuggets. I'm the only one going west. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. It's been a fun 3 hours. I want to thank you for your time and your basketball knowledge.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anytime.
Anytime. We are Sports Unfolded. This has been Sports Unfolded 2022 NBA preview show. Follow us every Friday at 6 p.m. where we do our regularly scheduled show. We break down all the top stories of the week in sports, not just the NBA. Every sport, any topic, nothing's off the table. So check that out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, and that's all on Rhode Island Broadcasting. You can follow us on social media at so many different formats. Please do that. Donate stars, send bits. If you're on Twitter, Facebook, we have stars now. You're able to donate. If you'd like to sponsor the show, ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. You can sponsor our show, have thousands of eyes on your business weekly. We will plug your business and give you a small spot on the show every week. You can also listen to us on our different podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Red Circle, TuneIn. So if you don't have time to watch, check us out in any one of those formats and listen to us. This will be on there as well. And we look forward to this upcoming NBA season. I'm sure next week, Kenny will be providing us with his NBA rankings. Can't wait for Detroit to be number 5, and then I ban him for life. Ron, your NHL rankings out today. Really excited. Possibly we do a show tomorrow on your rankings. NFL rankings came out today as well. So check those out on all our different formats. I will see you on Friday, Ron, if not tomorrow. Kenny, can't wait to do some NBA ranking shows with you, my friend. So thank you for all your time tonight.
Thank you.
Guys, good luck. All we ask for in this world's peace.
Good night, everybody.